Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trendy Talk.
I think I missed you slightly there.
No. Freebooters.
What
I've done it again. Freebooters. We're freebooters. Oh, we do not put much thought into branding, do we?
I genuinely, when we were talking earlier, I genuinely forgot what we were called.
Yeah.
It took me some moments to go, freebooters, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I kind of like this, right? Because you know how like other podcasts will have merch, they'll have branding, they'll have all that kind of stuff. And I like the fact that we don't have that kind of stuff. In fact, when I do the thumbnail for this, I literally have decided not to use any color schemes, anything like that. I just get like three random things that we talk about, and then just whack them onto a thumbnail. So it looks like a thumbnail.
I hope you can, because so far you've added them onto the last week's thumbnail, right? Like, I want you just to carry on doing that forever until it becomes this amazing color.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah,
it's just
that.
And it only takes 5 or 10 minutes to do. Although last week, right? So this was a PeerTube exclusive for like a whole week. Last week's episode before on YouTube, because on PeerTube, I am much more relaxed about putting content up there, which I really like. Like I like that sort of freedom and like liberation that you've got of like I'll just put something up. It's fine. Like people, people are like kind of chill about it. People don't, care that much about it. Like it's only just, it's just social media at the end of the day, right? With YouTube, I always feel like there's a thing like it's got to be great when it goes out. Now.
Oh, really?
Never
like,
used to be
you have a sense of responsibility to your audience, kind of thing. Like it's got to be of a kind of quality. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I think I've decided. I think like now I put these up on my channel on YouTube. I think, I think like it's part of the therapy process of actually getting over that.
Yeah.
Because it used to be the case. I put out like 3 videos in a year or something like that, and it's like that's not doing anyone no good, right? Like no one care. Like they're not good enough that they're an event. So I'm,
for a channel that's got like a very strong like. A channel that's like quite professional, that has a brand and they do a particular kind of like video, like they need to think about that stuff. But I think for us, like being a bit less precious about it can be good, because that's like we've talked about this before. It's kind of videos I like. I like the authenticity.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my favorite channels don't take branding seriously. I think it's a one of those sort of like capitalist maxims, really, isn't it? Where it's just like. And maybe there's some value in it, but like not what we're doing. We're just having a chat, really.
Yeah.
Like we don't really have a parasocial relationship with the people that watch or listen to this channel, right? If they'll chime in on, usually now it's the Fediverse, Mastodon, Pleroma, or PeerTube itself, and it'll be like just like a bit of a casual chat, really. And again, I kind of like that. A lot of podcasters will try and pretend they've got that, or they'll try and have that as well as a large audience. I don't know,
which is always a little bit. I think, to be fair to them, I think some people who engage in that, they don't get that it's parasocial. Like they in their heads, like they think they're having like they think of the audience as friends. Like some of them quite genuinely, I think. In fact, this is the thing.
I mean, I do when I'm on Twitch, but obviously it's a smaller, disparity. Like. I think I follow people who used to do YouTube many 10 years ago, and over the time have graduated towards Twitch because it fosters that back and forth between the people that you watch and the people that don't. I'm not the biggest Twitch, but there'll be a few people I watch on Twitch.
Even on Twitch, like once you get over a certain audience size, it is just the messages are coming in way too fast. Like you can't, even if you you can spot an odd message and reply to it, but you're not going to remember who that person was out of this sea of thousands of messages.
Well, that's it. And my favourite Twitch channels, to be honest, the only Twitch channels worth watching are the ones where I think it's about 80. I reckon about 80 people. There's enough comments that you've got a bit of a back and forth. I think when you go beyond that, I think it starts to become parasocial at that point. Could be wrong, could be different for different people. It could be what like the streamer or content creator wants to foster as well, right? Like sometimes a lot of the smaller content creators, they have stars in their eyes, they have dreams of being the next PewDiePie or other Ninja. He's one that they know, right? We've heard of Ninja. FaZe, and then like there's a FaZe clan. See, I'm down with the kids. FaZe clan. They have people, I think, who have like names after, like, so you got FaZe Banks, FaZe Fez, FaZe Gary. Phase Kevin.
Yeah, Keith. I've been. Apparently, there's a long-running podcast called My Brother and Me. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the McElroy family, and they are it's three brothers, and they've been making a podcast for a very long time. And the only reason I know of them is they did a D&D podcast, a separate thing, and I like in the background sometimes just listening to people playing D&D, especially if they've got a sense of humor about it. And they've got called the Adventure Zone or something. But yeah, I was reading about. I just stumbled upon the D&D thing. I've been listening to that on YouTube, and then I googled them, and like there was some controversy a while back with them, and I didn't really get to the bottom of that. But apparently, like essentially, it was three brothers making a podcast, and they got insanely popular, ridiculously popular, and turning what they did into a business, especially with like family men. They brought their dad into it. They kind of said like it ruined their family relationship. Like this need to, several times a week perform this familial, close relationship just like destroyed their actual close relationship kind of thing, which is really fucking tragic.
Yeah. That is, and you see it with family vloggers all the time. Rest assured, if me and you have a falling out, we'll just stop doing the podcast, Like that's... Yeah. or just literally just fight on the podcast.
That would be more fun. Yeah, just really bitchy with each other on the podcast.
Yeah, like passive aggressive or something, but or like deliberately like lower the volume on the microphone over time or something.
Speaking of volume, I think you were feeding back on my microphone for the beginning of this. I've corrected it now. It wasn't picking. I wasn't using the echo cancel microphone, but so the first few minutes might be awful, but it should be okay now.
Okay, that's probably the best bit and the bit that most people listen to. So now, everyone's just gonna think we're just like
awful,
awful.
Speaking of merch, though, if I'm listening to watching a podcast on YouTube, which I do a lot on YouTube, podcasty type things and let's plays and stuff like that, and they're like, go to our merch store and buy our merch. And it's like, why? And it's often just like sort of like catchphrasy things that they say in their videos on a t-shirt. It's like, why would I? Possibly, to support the person, fair enough, but just have a patch on it. This desire to sort of wear things, advertise on your chest what you're into, I've never really got, honestly. Maybe when I was a
never got that at all. Not even from like the youngest possible age.
I think as a teenager, maybe. I remember, like in the 90s, I did wear some NWA t-shirts and some Malcolm X t-shirts.
Maybe I can sort of get beyond a political persuasion, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't like to because I think it kind of opens up this door for a debate and or...
that you don't necessarily want to have. Yeah.
Exactly. I know you're always up for a scrap, but
we've mentioned her before. But Veronica Explains, a YouTuber. There's one t-shirt or hoodie or something that she has that says like I'm a trackball person with just like a red ball bouncing, and I'm like, that's actually quite cool.
That's all right. Actually, I got my brother one of those t-shirts that had a square in it and it said CSS is awesome, but the awesome goes over the outside of the box. Like if you set the box at an absolute limit and all that kind of stuff. But that's a joke, really, isn't it? It's a bit of a techie joke that tells,
I like the one. I think I've seen it on a mug. It's like I heart Unicode, but the heart is just like a box.
Yeah. I think there's a few of those as well. Yeah.
But the thing about having funny things on your t-shirt is essentially it's having a joke on your t-shirt, but jokes obviously don't bear repetition, right? It's like once you've seen it once, it's like on your own. It's an odd thing to do. It's not an impulse.
Yeah, like the thing is, like it's one of those things where like a photograph or a screenshot kind of gets the point across. The store page does the job, right?
Why is there a surge to wear it? I think, what it is, they're called nerd print, and I think the origin, this is going to sound awful, but I think the origin is like socially awkward, socially a bit incompetent nerds wanting to like show that they're friendly, like make people laugh as like a kind of mistaken belief that will lead to social interactions. I'm saying, it's simple. It's a nonsense way to state it, but you know what I mean? Like in lieu of having social skills, I'll wear a joke on my chest.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I don't know. Is it even thought that far ahead, or is it actually? I think this is more likely. It was just given as a Christmas present.
I don't know. I think no, because those nerd print t-shirt places they got huge. Like people will buy those t-shirts for themselves and rotate them and.
But maybe I don't know. But then again, have I? What about this? This is more my sort of speed. Wearing a t-shirt that has your Linux distribution on it. See, no. They don't do. Do they do Debian t-shirts?
Yeah. No. See, I would be. If I was painting the house or something and I had to put a t-shirt on, I'd be quite happy to wear a Debian t-shirt. But I wouldn't wear. Yeah. Even in that situation, I wouldn't wear a Red Hat t-shirt because that's a company. I'm not.
Yeah, you don't advertise for free.
I mean, my shoes have the logo of the company that made the shoes on them, right? Can't avoid.
I don't even like that.
I don't like it, but like you know, actually, I'm not even sure it's faded off actually. But like just voluntarily wearing the logo, I mean, this is almost like trite. It is trite to say it, but you know, being those sandwich board people.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly,
being one of those for free.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I've literally always thought about it. It's.
Just reminds me
underselling yourself.
I reported an ad on YouTube. I often report on YouTube. If I see an ad, I'll report it just because it's an ad. Right?
I often do that on Facebook at work. I only use Facebook at work. So
regardless of what it is, I report it and say it's offensive content because it is. It's an ad. And then there's a little box saying, "Is there anything you think we could do to improve our not service, but words along those lines?" And I was in a pissed off mood. I just put, "I will answer this at my usual consulting rate." It's like, why would I do QA for you for free? You know?
Exactly. I mean, interestingly enough, social media across the board is going sort of down the pan. Twitch recently have reported a substantial decline in the number of viewers.
Well, did you see there was a tweet a while back, a Musk tweet saying we've hit record engagement for the World Cup something, and then somebody posted in a reply there was more engagement in 2017 over the release of some anime or something. So he's making lots of posts claiming that it's going great, it's better than ever, there's more engagement than ever, there's more posts than ever, which seem to be just outright lies as far as I can tell.
I've also noticed more spam.
On Twitter itself?
On Twitter itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just to be honest, I doubt there's a link. Maybe there's a link, I don't know, but it just feels like...
Well, advertisers were Twitter, pulling out, weren't they? So what happens, I think, when advertisers pull out is the prestige brands pull out, so then you get the spammy bottom of the barrel kind of advertising, so you're probably going to notice it more. And
well, it's not even just advertising, it's like I'll open up Twitter and I'll be like added to a whole bunch of group DMs. And these DMs will be like crypto, buy this cryptocurrency.
Oh, that kind of, right, okay.
That kind of spam. So not even just standard advertising, like literally just stuff that, like, I don't even know how it works. I've been added to a group chat with 100 and something other people that I've never met before in my life. It's going to be called something like Ethereum's going to go through the roof or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like crypto investors, high profile portfolio nonsense or shit like that. That's like, I'm just like report out.
Yeah.
Like, but it does feel like that there is more of that than there was maybe a year ago, but Musk or not. But they're laying off a load of people, of course, at Meta.
Are they?
Yeah. 10,000 people or something like that. I don't know, but I don't suspect they're just doing as well as they thought they would. Or it might be because like Mark Zuckerberg's just spent a ton of money on the VR metaverse shit. I love that. Like he is like, like this guy who, to be fair, built up Facebook as a company from a small project.
Yeah, right? I mean, unlike Musk, he did actually make Facebook, and Facebook at the time was, an interesting, innovative idea. I guess.
I hate Facebook, but like, you got to give credit where credit's due.
I mean, the other side of that coin was it started out as a way of socially awkward nerds harassing women or something like that, wasn't it?
But basically, getting phone numbers and shit like that, right? So Bill Gates has also got similar stuff in his past as well, where it's like, sort of unhealthy. I think I remember hearing this, and this shows a little bit of how sort of how we, I think, have progressed a little bit as a society, I hope. But it was a few years ago when I heard this cutesy story about how Bill Gates, when he was at school, hacked into the computers and put himself in all the classes with most number of girls. And you think you do that nowadays, you think you get like school shooter vibes, right? You get like,
no, for
this
sure,
is not a person, you know. But like, I think back then they thought, oh, isn't he charming? You know.
I've heard bits and bobs about
yeah.
just looking into computer history stuff. You hear some like Bill Gates stories and Microsoft stories and that, and apparently his home life was like incredibly competitive, like hot housing, like weird competitive. Like just like when friends went round, it was just like, well, we're doing this, we're playing this board game, but it's like, you know, I can't even get it across. But like, yeah, just hyper competitive family and very, pushed to succeed.
That actually kind of reminds me of, do you know Jake Paul and Logan Paul, the YouTubers? Started out on Vine, I think. Actually, their dad is like a former Marine turned estate agent or something like that,
right?
And he like from the day they were born, he was like pushing them to be like these uber macho competitive, to be basically the people that they are today, pretty much. So I don't know, is that the recipe for success? Incredibly overbearing parents.
Yeah, no, I think so. There's yeah, I mean, it does tend to when you especially in sports, right? Whenever you see somebody successful, or there does seem to be this that came from this environment of very pressured, you must succeed kind of stuff. Have you seen the film? I'm going to struggle to think of the name of the film now. It's a movie about a drummer who goes to drumming university and learns jazz drumming under very... It's got Portal Man in it. I'm so bad with names. Give me a sec.
I haven't seen this one.
Google will know.
Google will know.
Whiplash, right? Yeah.
Okay, Whiplash.
So it's this kid who loves drumming, and he goes to this very prestigious sort of drumming thing at a university, and his teacher is high pressure to the point of like abuse. He's actually abusive, and the question of the film is clearly asking is like, well, what the thesis of the film is. This is necessary for greatness. You don't get genius without this. And then it's asking, is it worth it? And it's a difficult question to answer. Like, if you want, musical, artistic geniuses, this is how they come about, like through intense.
Well, see, this is what, like, I know this is, I'm going to say the tritest thing I think we've ever and ever will say on this podcast. But this is kind of why I think having a conversation with Einstein would be like literally, I think, eye-opening, right? Because this is a guy, like, he was like way ahead of his time, even like, like he taught at like black universities and all that kind of stuff, like before it was even considered, something that you could really do. And like, and the guy seemed kind of chill, like,
yeah.
Like there's a photo I saw on there is actually a great Twitter channel called Twitter thing. Account, whatever, called History and Memes, and it's got like old photographs, like old clips of Muhammad Ali, all that kind of stuff. And one of them was it was titled something like 4 physicists having a walk in the woods. And it was like these 3 very professor looking fellas, suit, tie, smart haircut, all the rest, and then Einstein in scruffy hair, jumper.
Yeah.
And it's like, like one of those people looks much more interesting than the other. It's like one of those people looks like they're there because they want to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there seems like...
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, like there's something about particularly the way his mind works that I think we as a people can learn about, because I think could be completely wrong.
How much of that... Because my education was art, right? And I'm aware of how mythologized artists' lives are, especially when you go way back to oh god, why am I so bad with names? The first Renaissance painter.
I don't know the order of... You're the art dude.
I know.
Is it one of the turtles?
I don't think. I want to say Gotchi. It's something that sounds like that. I swear I'm getting Alzheimer's. Giotto, right? That's not the right answer. I'll bring up some Giotto. So these are Giotto paintings. He actually cuts in some cases like comically bad. But he's like,
I get that Spanish Jesus vibes.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look at Jesus' forehead. And
Big
Mary's
forehead,
got
big
no
ring.
forehead. Jesus God. Anyway, I guess that's where you keep the god. But yeah, so Giotto is the father of the Renaissance, the first kind of Renaissance painter. Seen as an absolute genius, and there's these stories about how he was a shepherd boy in rural Italy somewhere in the hills, and he would just be drawing on a rock with another bit of rock or a bit of stick or a bit of charcoal or something, and like people would see these drawings and like fall down weeping at their beauty and stuff. And it's so, I mean, in the art world, and you know, the arts broadly, you know, writers, musicians, like the lives of the ones we love are just hyper mythologized. And I wonder,
for sure.
I wonder how much of because as a late, you know, I'm not educated in science, you know, beyond high school, so I don't know. I know that obviously Einstein's ideas, you know, general relativity was a mindfuck, like absolutely groundbreaking. But there were other around about the same time, and coming off his work, there were other also significant like leaps in thought. Right? Was he truly outstanding, or was he just? I mean, top of his field, of course. But was he? Do you know what I'm kind of like?
Well, this is why I think this is why Einstein is Einstein, right? Because he famously had the quote and philosophy: if you can't explain something in simple terms, you yourself don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's like the E equals mc squared. Everyone knows E equals mc squared, and a lot of people know what E equals mc squared. It's was it energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
But do you know what that means in practice?
Not really. Not confidently enough that I'm willing to go on the, recording and say it. Right?
I do watch videos about that stuff. That, like that much mass is equivalent to that much energy.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that is, but that's like you can understand that at a GCSE level of science, if that, right?
Yeah, but But that in a way, that's not the important bit. Like the why is kind of the genius is in the why, right? Like I can come up with.
I see the genius is in the sort of reduction of it. The fact that he managed to take something fundamentally quite complicated and then distill it into something incredibly simple.
I don't think there exists an idea that can't be expressed simply.
But that's the thing. That's his philosophy. That I think is kind of why he is so prolific as a genius. There are other geniuses that have probably done very, very technical and amazing things as well, but we'll never understand them because they're too high level. Whereas as Einstein, like he was a very accessible, smart dude, basically, and he believed that was in some level important because, like, knowledge is really only useful if you can transfer it from person to person to person, right? So if you've got like one person who's like a super genius who can do stuff and work out stuff that no one else can, the day he dies, you're fucked, right? But like if you've got a good system of knowledge that you can then pass on to future generations. I know
what you're getting at, and I do kind of, you know, I enjoy the sentiment. You know, if you can't express an idea, simply you haven't had a good idea or whatever. Like I enjoy that, but. Like just knowing E equals mc squared isn't what's useful. What's useful is scientists knowing the why, and they will from Einstein's work, right? They'll read his maths and understand the maths and be able to apply it to situations, which we don't. I'm not sure how useful it is that you and I know that energy and mass are equivalent.
No, but. The fact that we know that, I think there is value in that, if in and of itself. If you know what I mean.
That's fair. Yeah.
Even though there's no utility in it, I guess, right? Like, I like the idea of like going to university or going to other educational institutions and learning for the sake of bettering yourself for the sake of that, not under like the capitalist lens of it, where you're going to university to learn how to be a better worker.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas I believe there's value in that, right? I believe like, you know, the world needs plumbers and electricians and all that kind of stuff. But then like. Actually, there was a great post on Mastodon Fediverse the other day that I think it hit a chord with me, and I'm going to try and find it because I think it's quite near the top of my. It was quite near the top of my feed. I've got a special list on Mastodon that. So I follow a lot of people and come on. Yes, it is. So it's by Jason Lefkowitz. And they say it's good that our finest minds have been focused on automating writing and making art, two things human beings simply do because it brings them joy. It's like, and then the next tweet that follows on. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of people risk their lives every day breaking down ships, a task that nobody is in a particular hurry to automate because their lives are considered cheap.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that one, I don't know, that one cut deep. That one did.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what happened? Like, are we going to die as a sentient species if we automate art?
What was the first part? Again?
It's good that our finest minds have focused on automating writing and making art.
So I heard this is a bit anecdotal. I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard that I do remember actually. I think there's a documentary on YouTube about that AI that played Go and actually beat a whatever level player of Go. Anyway, I think it was mentioned in that, but the top maths graduates, like the best people in mathematics now, rather than going into particle physics or astrophysics or anything like that, they get jobs with hedge funds, making AIs that can make sort of fractional trades, like just a tiny fraction quicker. Like it's just a bot race essentially, like who can make these arbitrage trades like the fastest. So the best mathematicians in the world are spending their effort on that.
Yeah, in the exchanges there's this great they regulate the length of cable they use. So for like latency and stuff like that. So that you've got spools of like Ethernet, I think it's either Ethernet cable or some such cable that they use, probably within their own set of regulations. And they wind it. They have to have certain lengths of it to artificially level the playing field with latency. And it's like that's kind of. But yeah, like it's But yeah, like it reminds me a little bit of there's this like earlier on in the whole like techno wizardry kind of thing in that when it comes to not like AIs and computer programs that can measure for blips in the market and then buy and sell, invest as according. There was a guy who a literal billionaire who literally made all of his money because he just made a program that basically did that. It abided by a set of stock market rules and it acted based on these rules. And
that's the thing. I think that's the reason so much, because with arbitrage, arbitrage is just, for anybody who doesn't know, arbitrage is just finding discrepancies between markets, basically. Like if dollars are slightly cheaper on this currency market than this currency market, then you buy them on this one and sell them on this one very quickly. And before, it can be a matter of seconds before the prices equalize. They can just be out of whack for like even half a second. You just make as many trades as possible, as quickly as possible before they even out. So it's a risk-free way of making money, basically. But it's also of absolutely no worth whatsoever to society.
No, it's skimming off it's finding a very clever way of skimming off the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument that like it's the mechanism that does balance these markets, and there's some truth in that. But this is fulfilling really no, and the greatest mathematical minds in the world of our generation working on that. That's terrifying to me that we're endorsing a system that uses people's abilities so fucking poorly. I mean, that's really that's not just disgusting. It's like terrifying.
It's harmful to society a lot. Well, or it's like it's going to have an impact on us as a species. As a species for the whole of the future, right? It's like as well as that, like some of our greatest minds are being used to convince you to click on adverts.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like what an absolute waste of like psychological innovation when we could be looking at how to defeat things like depression, like shit like that. Like if we're using our knowledge of how the mind works to basically eke money out of people,
especially in a situation where capitalism and our way of life is climate change is what I'm trying to shoehorn in there. Like I wouldn't mind so much if the greatest minds in the world were all working in like abstract things of no immediate benefit, like astrophysics or particle physics, right? If all of our greatest minds were working on that, and that was destroying the planet, like at least you're doing something kind of noble. It's still not good, but at least there was some nobility there, as opposed to just like
you mean like the innovation in air travel, for example?
How do you mean? Sorry,
like innovations in air travel. Yes, air travel harmful to the climate, but at the same time,
I'm just thinking more about that abstract knowledge. If we were so bound up in searching for abstract knowledge and working out how things work, and like,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
If it was we were doing too much philosophy, and that's what's destroying the planet, I'd be like, well, at least we were that.
At least we're doing philosophy.
It was quixotic, but we burnt out like trying to find the answers to the great questions. Like that's kind of cool, but. Destroying our ability to live on the planet to maximize shareholder value is just so depressing.
It kind of is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Well,
we're talking about tech missteps. Should we talk about the Raspberry Pi thing?
Go on then. Now, I'm not clued up on the Raspberry Pi thing. So, is it to do with the Fediverse?
Yeah. Well, okay. So. I'm sure you caught this a week or two ago. Raspberry Pi, because you told me this. They set up their own Mastodon server, I think, on Raspberry Pis. So they have their own Mastodon instance running on Raspberry Pis, and that's federated. And
so that sounds clever, right?
They got a ton of goodwill from that. And then when was it? Don't see a date on there, but December the 8th. So a few days ago, a couple of days ago, they announced that they've hired this ex-cop. To work on to work at Raspberry Pi at the foundation, basically. And this ex-cop turns out to be do you remember a fuss a while back, it's kind of still ongoing, about the spy cops?
I don't remember.
It was just it's just the spy cops is just a term they were using to encompass these activities. So there's groups within the police who are tasked with surveilling dangerous organizations, which is fine. Not going to get into the morality of the police overall, but what these groups inevitably end up doing is infiltrating like peaceful climate change.
No, I know this.
Groups.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was one woman who got made pregnant by one of these undercover.
Yeah. So these undercover police will go into will infiltrate groups that. Including, I'm sure they're infiltrating, actual dodgy stuff as well, but they're infiltrating, just vaguely left-leaning political groups, climate protest groups. They're having romantic sexual relationships with members of those groups, getting married in some cases, having children, and then when they leave that position, they're just abandoning these children. Like, and that's all awful, but also surveilling people without their knowledge for doing absolutely nothing wrong. Belonging to a climate action group who protest peacefully should not put you on the government's radar for surveillance, right? Even regardless of whether you think the police should exist and whether surveillance in and of itself is a useful thing for us to be doing. Pretty much everybody would agree that groups like that should not be surveilled in that way, right? Anyway, so he was involved in those groups, and he designed the equipment that they used to surveil, and so Fediverse reacted, exactly as you'd predict, which is all up to that point fair enough. Like, I understand the connection between Raspberry Pi and organizations like that. I don't like it, but it's there. But then the kind of worst part of it was how flippantly the Raspberry Pi account responded to people's concerns.
Okay, so I'm not.
It was just, I don't know if I can find any examples. I think a lot of it has been deleted, but I should have got some screenshots. People were posting screenshots. But yeah, so people were just raising, legitimate concerns about, like, is it really a good idea to have an ex-surveillance cop, representing this kind of project that's about, people just hacking around?
Oh, it's bad. The best interpretation, and this is a very nice interpretation I'm giving here, it's a bad look.
It's a bad look, right? Yeah. So people were basically saying that. Some people were, very, strongly abolitionist, like, you shouldn't be hiring a cop. This is like, what do you do? But some were putting, reasoned looking at it from Raspberry Pi's perspective and putting reasoned, concerns across. And the Raspberry Pi account was just reacting in a very musky kind of, oh, just get over it, chill out, it's not a big deal kind of, it's very odd.
It shows that they failed to understand the community that they're in, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how representative. I mean, I'm sure, I said this in a comment somewhere, I'm sure there's a section of the Raspberry Pi audience, community, whatever, who think that's cool, like surveillance cop, that's cool, not everybody's,
not James Bond, but no, it's.
But yeah,
I mean, because because Raspberry Pi, they're not a small organization, right?
Nah.
They're going to have how many staff working for them as an organization? Thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, maybe more.
So
they're kind of like, even though they have like, then they're not corporate in some way. Like, they are a corporation and they are corporate.
Well, they're charity, aren't they? They are run as charity, to be fair.
Oh, they're they're a charity. Yeah. Oh, right, okay. But you see them in like schools and all kinds of stuff, don't you?
Yeah. And I mean, they've got up to this point, they've got nothing but goodwill. They're running. I mean, the reason I always went with Raspberry Pi over, because at various times there've generally been slightly better boards than the Raspberry Pi to actually buy, better value for money, a bit faster than that. But it was the fact that Raspberry Pi was a charity. I liked that, so I always went with Raspberry Pi. But yeah,
okay.
I mean,
I thought they were just for profit, right?
I would not be buying a Raspberry Pi now based on this hire. That's just. I mean, I'm trying to avoid getting into the the ACAB stuff, which I do believe all cops are bad. The idea of police is flawed, and the way they're employed in our society is harmful. But that's not where most of the public is, to be fair, right?
No, and I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff to unpack there, to be honest. In general,
it's kind of too much, right?
There's a lot. Like, every time I think of something, I think of like two other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, to me, I'm not quite at the ACAB stage, but like, okay, but like, I certainly understand and sympathise, and so with the idea, and also, I'm a white guy, right? So it's going to be a little bit different. There's a little bit.
No, for sure. So. Yeah, and that's kind of what was shocking was. Like, regardless of where you stand on, ACAB and all that stuff, it's the response that I think really bothered people more than the post, which is a corporation does something dumb, what a surprise. It was the flippancy. People were saying, as a black person, like, I'm nervous about the police. The police aren't a source of comfort for me. This is the police.
Well, at least of all on the internet, right? We're not talking. Think of some of the ACAB discussion. I think of. Policeman Plod, help, like around the town, right?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking GCHQ. I'm not thinking, or if you're an American, Patriot Act. That type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's the other detail with them infiltrating climate groups that they were using.
Oh, of course, yeah.
They were using the anti-terror legislation to infiltrate climate change groups, which is, I mean, that legislation has been misused since it was signed, as everybody predicted.
Yeah, was that Tony Blair? Was that did he kick that?
Yeah, it was after 9/11, wasn't it?
Tony Blair was 9/11. Yeah, so
there was just huge public support for tightening that stuff up. So government was like, they couldn't believe their luck, I think, and just tight.
Yeah. They
stuff on that level, and then there's like. If you're a black man, you're just far more likely to. And this is another thing Raspberry Pi Foundation did. They implied that that's an American problem, but it's certainly not as pronounced here. But like young black men will get stopped and killed more often by police than white men in particular. It's not just an American problem.
Yeah, and with the anti-terror legislation, the thing that I kind of knew this would happen, and I've seen it happen now. I don't want to be too specific about it because I think it's a broad philosophical problem, right? I'm sure at the time because I know I was at the time when this anti-terror stuff came in, when 9/11 happened, you knew it was going, like, you saw what was happening. Yeah. It was there in broad daylight. They were going to use this as an opportunity to erode civil rights, human rights, right? I remember the being held without charge, the amount of time you can be held without charge to be extended. I thought, shit. This is not a good slippery slope to go down, right?
This is fundamental stuff that, like, that liberals are supposed to hold incredibly dear, right? It's almost like
Exactly.
it was one of the cornerstones of liberalism, are these, these judicial protections. Yeah, the one that's most shocking. The one that's most shocking to me is, and this gets into another topic, but the American Constitution protects you from illegal, search and seizure without a warrant, right? Basically, but they do these blanket warrants. They just say, you can surveil everybody. That's not what anybody intended at any point of that legislation, right?
I did a module on American civics, and I think I might even have done some constitutional stuff in university as well. And it is fascinating the American as a whole, Americans' relationship with the Constitution, particularly American government, because obviously you got the Second Amendment, right to bear arms should not be infringed, and as I understand it, but I'm sure no one fully agrees on the interpretation of the Second Amendment. But as my understanding is, the idea behind it was, you just defeated the British, you just kicked them out, you want to make sure that you don't get another British, so people on the whole are allowed to have free use of guns, either as part of militia, maybe as a civilian, depending again on how you interpret it, to stop that happening again. But of course, when that was written, they were thinking of things like muskets and cannons and stuff like that, right? So there is no nuance in terms of, does that count for a nuclear warhead? Does that count for a rocket launcher?
This is.
I don't think anyone thinks owning a rocket launcher should be legal, right? You've got to be proper.
I want to get into. I've been thinking about this a decent amount lately, and it started because I'm quite on the left, and often when I'm listening to, watching, reading lefty stuff, people will say we need a written constitution because obviously that's a good idea. There's this assumption that a written constitution is gives us more protection than the British system of an unwritten constitution, a constitution made up of common law. And I've never really. I need it explained to me why that is the case, because I can't see an example of a functioning written constitution anyway. Because first of all, look at Russia right now. They've got a written constitution, and Putin is just outright plain ignoring it, not even pretending to abide by it. And then I started reading the American Constitution, particularly.
And they ignore loads of stuff.
What you were talking about, the Second Amendment, it says words to the effect. The wording really matters, but a militia being necessary for the protection of the people, something like that.
Preservation of a free state.
The government shall not infringe the right to bear arms, to own and bear arms, something like that, right? Which I don't think you can, in good faith, read that as anything but just a blanket statement saying that an American citizen can own any weapon they want. That's that's, and I'm on the left,
But it does read like that, yeah.
It reads like Americans should be able to own any weapon, nuclear warheads, aircraft carriers, stealth bombers, right? That's what that amendment says. And if I think if you claim otherwise, you are being disingenuous. The militia part, yes, that's a little bit ambiguous. It would be nice if people, when writing constitutions, would be unambiguous. That would be lovely.
But I think at the time, they thought they were being unambiguous.
Because that passage is so.
What if you had a button that just destroyed the world,
and then the comma?
Should that be protected?
Sorry, what did you say? Sorry.
I said, what if you had a button that just blew up the world? Well, I suppose an actual literal imagine handing that in at a
chemical weapons, biological weapons, walking down the street. Just imagine somebody walking down the street cradling a nuclear warhead. You know what I mean? And second amendment. So, and that's that's how it should be, based on a reading of I think if you're claiming otherwise, you're lying. That's what it says.
Yeah, you got basically the line has to be drawn somewhere, right? Unless you genuinely believe Americans should be entitled to.
If you believe in the Constitution, and that's the problem, you shouldn't believe in the Constitution. It should be changed a lot.
So it should at least be changed, right? Unless you genuinely believe.
Let's make this unambiguous.
Yeah, what happened? Do biological weapons count in this?
The way it reads, absolutely, yeah. You got it.
Well, arms. Like, because the definition of arms is quite broad, isn't it? I mean, I've heard things like bulletproof vest referred to as arms before.
That's armaments. Arms, or are they armor?
Well, arms is in the actual like category. It's just like
weapons.
Like a lot of it is like equipment, basically.
I think weapons. I think specifically weapons.
We could. So if we we interpret it as like weapons, yeah. Then,
but there was another. I can't remember the other. There was another example of something American and constitutional that is just ignored because it would be insane to not ignore it. So the idea that this written constitution provides these protections, I think, is quite not. And the blanket warrants.
And also, warrants. Things change. Yeah, and also priorities change as well. So I think, as someone that tends to like the idea of like I like to think of myself as forward looking, right? Yeah. Like I try and avoid being a boomer, right? In terms of like, I don't like if there's new things that are happening that I don't understand. I'm going to try not to like just blanket condemn it, but like understand it and like, as long as it's not hard,
looking at all of this, looking around the world, where I always come down is like our common law uncodified constitution seems to work a lot better. I don't know whether we've just been lucky with the kind of governments we've had, because it's certainly open to abuse. But I'll be in favour of a Bill of Rights. I think it was I think it's really dangerous that we're not subject to the UNHCR anymore. I think, go on, sorry.
And also, of course, not the European Convention of Human Rights as well. Yeah, because Brexit. So yeah. I mean, it would be nice if we did have some legitimate, basics down, because I don't think they can ever really change, can they?
You've always got recourse, at least, with those, and if the judiciary is in even a tiny bit independent, then you've got hope that they will actually But yeah, I mean, all of this, as we can see in Russia, all of this can be ignored by somebody who's powerful enough. I'm going to read the Second Amendment. I've got the Second Amendment up on screen, right? Because I think we. So, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's blanket, right?
To me, to me, and I know the comma, the comma before the end there is heavily debated.
Yeah.
But like that to me, when it says the people, we the people is like a term that it's specifically referring to, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the people of the militia, although a militia without guns is,
I mean, that is the one sound counter argument that they're talking about the militia. The militia shall not be infringed, right?
Well, but also the right of the people to keep and bear arms also allows them to fight back against the militia, if necessary. If you've got a hostile militia,
but yeah, I honestly think that a neutral reading of that says that Americans should be allowed to own and bear whatever weapons they want, wherever they want it, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. But again, how about, right, and this might be a little bit more of a better faith interpretation of it, you're allowed to keep and bear arms. However, they've got to be the arms that were invented when this was signed off, right? A blanket on those. Anything invented after that is like subject to more modern checks and balances.
Okay, how does that apply to smallpox now?
I mean, like the weaponization of smallpox.
Like, can I get a vial of smallpox and throw it into Grand Central Station and go no, that was around in 1776.
That was see, now you're talking into what? Yeah, but you're using modern technology to make it. So is even using modern technology to make a musket? Because you could probably really push that law and say make very modern style muskets.
I think that would be a reasonable way to bridge that.
They got to do it like how they fix up churches, where you've got to use the method that was there at the time.
Yeah, yeah. My dad restored stained glass windows for a living, right? So he was often subject to those. You've got to use, the mortar that they used in the Middle Ages and stuff. And my dad would often be like, what? Like he would do it, of course, and he kind of enjoyed, the old craftsmanship of it, but they're very strong insistence that you use worse cement. Basically, we've invented better cement, and you've got to use this worse cement.
You see now. I hope I'm not being well. I am being cynical here, but I hope I'm being a bit wrong, right? But cynical Chris kind of says that it's a bit of a racket, right? Like if you're fixing up a church roof,
Yeah,
and you're going to use the old methods, the old timber, like you say, it basically is a legislation to use worse cement, worse timber, worse slate, all that kind of stuff. And I remember there's a lovely old church, about 1500 years old, ancient thing, and obviously that's under all kinds of like preservation statuses and legislation and all that kind of stuff. And there was a big movement to like repair and restore the roof of this church. Every village has this kind of like story. Interestingly enough, though, it was the I think is it Architects Society or something like that. They were like the big driving force behind this one, and they were all really staunch atheists, but they were of course historians. And, you know, and they had to raise a lot more money for the roof. Like, whereas if they just did it that looked exactly the same in a way that looked exactly the same, then but with modern cement, like quality modern cement, quality like slate that basically looked the same but probably was better or lighter or whatever. I don't know. You know, like they could have done it for a third of the price, if that. You know, if not more.
And you absolutely you get into the the Zeno's paradox and the ship of Theseus. Yeah, you very quickly get into that stuff, right? Like once every bit of this church has been replaced, like what are we actually considering? Is it just the way it looks?
Yeah, like I think the way it looks is probably the way. I think that's the thing that it matters, I guess, and the location, the preservation of it, the archival status of a living building.
Yeah, I mean we've gone into conservation stuff before. I kind of I kind of wish cause a lot of the things that we do preserve, like these old churches and castles and stuff, they are the product of hundreds of years of subsequent modernization, right? You know, the Elizabethans will build something, and the next generation would, the Tudors would build something, and then the next, the Elizabethans would change it and build onto it and knock bits down, and that's why they're so beautiful. They're often, not always, sometimes they're a purely Gothic cathedral or whatever, but very often they are built up over centuries, and then we arrogantly come in and say, no, that's perfect now, we want to freeze it, rather than keeping it as a living thing and continuing to knock bits down that we don't like and add bits onto it. But which is what I would prefer. I prefer to keep these things as living things and keep modifying them, but with taste is the big...
Well, this is it, right? Like, everything you've said is perfectly reasonable, but
then you look at modern corporate architecture and go like, I don't know.
There's a great channel that I love watching on YouTube called Jay Foreman, who does, I think it's called Unfinished London, and he talks about all these little bits of London, railway routes that hadn't been finished, and the green belt after the war, and all that kind of stuff. And there was a huge boom in suburban living in London, right? They'd like housing estates just blast, they're all just like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of these new types of houses. Built was it in the 40s or something like that?
Yeah.
And they and one of the sort of offhanded comments that they make is, isn't it good that the architects of this day were actually kind of okay? Because if they'd been a bit, if they weren't, you'd have so many houses in London that were just shit. That would just be like And it's that
is really the crux of it. I think the reason we value these things is they were made with artistry and skill and care. That's why we value them, and that's the lesson we should take. We should continue to make things with artistry and skill, and not just as cheaply as possible. And also, the things that one generation finds ugly and modern, the next generation finds beautiful and old, right?
Sometimes, and sometimes things are timeless, but we don't know what they are at the time.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. And there's an arrogance to saying, no, this is ugly, that's beautiful, we preserve this, we get rid of that.
I think but it's fear of our own minds in a way, right? Of like fearing that, for example, we're going to add a bit onto a cathedral, and then in 20 years it's going to age like milk. We've done that many times, maybe we just don't trust ourselves as a society.
I love.
We should.
So I lived when I was at university. I lived in Liverpool, right? And both of Liverpool's cathedrals, the Anglican one and the real one, the Catholic one, were bombed out during the war. I I can never spell cathedral. Did I spell it right? Yeah, okay. But yeah, there's the Catholic. The Anglican one was just bombed out, but the building kind of survived, and I think it's still there, just bombed out. And the Catholic one was completely destroyed, so they rebuilt it with. I'm trying to find a good picture. So,
is that it? Oh,
yeah. So very, very, very modern at the time, right?
that looks like a space cathedral, but like a space cathedral from the 80s and 90s.
The things I find, I mean, it's a bit brutalist. I like brutalist. This is again that generational thing. I love brutalist architecture. I find it very beautiful, but I can understand why some people would find that ugly. But inside, I'll see if I can find a good picture of inside. So it's got this. Actually, I should go back. So that bit on the top of a cathedral. That bit on the top of a cathedral is called the lantern. And on this particular cathedral, this is all stained glass. It's a kind of stained glass that's set in concrete. Actually, it's blocks of glass set in concrete. But the way that looks inside is absolutely stunning. Find a good picture of the light.
And you said that's Catholic?
Yeah, this is the Catholic one. Yeah, I need to specify the Catholic one. Yeah, so you just get this.
Oh wow!
It's really like there you go. Like, so that's the lantern up there. The sun's obviously, regardless of where it is in the sky, it's shining into this lantern with this coloured glass and just like projecting the whole interior with these like beautiful changing light patterns, and it's gorgeous. It is absolutely amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it looks. I think it's clear, to me at least, that you're not even going to be able to begin to appreciate that without physically being there, right?
For sure.
Like because like playing with light, like I've been watching some videos on ray tracing and stuff like that, and it's like playing with like physical real light has so much of a glimmer that you can't get on a screen in any way, shape, or form. Because a little bit on the screen, especially considering I've got you on a small window, looks a little game showy, but like
yeah.
But I also know what game showy churches look like, because you get they're like mega churches in America, and that's not that. That's like, yeah. And I love the idea of having the light coming through the ceiling.
It is beautiful when you walk in. I mean, it's got to be a sunny day, but when you walk in, you're just bathed in like all these colours and lights, and them moving.
Well, maybe it might. I don't know. Like, who knows what it looks like on a day where the light is a bit bluer and softer.
Oh yeah, no, it still comes through, but it is on a sunny day. It is absolutely stunning.
But it's real. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes, yeah.
It's a little bit of like.
There's a little bit of we're part of the world, like the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like my office does not have windows, and I don't know if I know that sounds really depressing, and it's got grey brick walls and everything. It's not too bad. I've got a nice desk, but it's like through the summer. I only knew it was summer because it was hot, and
yeah.
I only know if it's raining if it's raining really, really hard.
Yeah,
I work in this very what's the word? Inauthentic, like this very artificial, very officey place, and it's like
I think I'm one to talk, but I think that's just very bad for mental health. I think we need to be. I think. Being connected to like the seasons and the weather and just the outside is. I mean, I don't go outside, but I still feel this. Like you've got to be connected to that to be healthy. I think.
For sure. I mean, I go for a walk in the park at lunch, so
yeah.
And I like my head is telling me to get out, right? Like. In the summer, it's not too bad because I'm not too far from like a fire exit where you can like pin the doors open.
Yeah.
And so even if I'm like off to make a cup of tea, I can stand around outside. And I work right next to I hope I don't end up doxing myself with this, but I end a steam railway line.
Really?
So like every now and then, I'll just be working away and I'll hear a.
I want to get on the steam trains in a moment, but. That kind of architecture is, I mean, again, this is a little bit trite to say, but like casinos and IKEAs and shopping centres, they purposely don't have windows so that you don't have a sense of the passage of time, right? They do other stuff as well to psychologically trick you into like...
I love that those are three things you picked out, but it says so much about society, right?
Yeah. IKEA, casinos and supermarkets, yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah,
no, Steam Train. My parents had such boners for Steam Trains, and I'd always thought it was generational because they were things that were kind of dying in their lifetime. Like when they were young,
mm,
steam trains were just about still a thing, and they were being, replaced by diesel and
mm,
electric. So they had like a romance for them, which is the way I feel about like mainframes. Like there's something that
mm-hmm,
kind of existed, at the start of my life in the late 70s and early
mm,
80s, mainframes were still a thing. So like, they were on TV, they were in movies and stuff. So I've got a bit of a romance for mainframes, which aren't really some. I mean, they kind of are, but yeah. And I thought, like, I don't give a fuck about steam trains. They're just ugly, smelly, inefficient trains to me, right? But then I meet people my age and younger who do have a romance for them, and I don't understand that. I don't understand where that comes
mm.
from.
I have a bit of a romance for them. But I don't know why. Like, is it Back to the Future 3?
Because this transfers to the mainframe thing as well. There's these big, powerful, almost like monsters, right? Like going through the countryside. I can see that.
I have like what's the term for like appreciating an aesthetic, but that's not nostalgia, right? Because like a lot of these that old era computing is a little bit before my time, and steam engines, of course, way before my time. So I don't think it's a nostalgia thing. I don't like, I don't have this yearning to go back to the past. I do like to think of myself as forward looking.
Yeah.
But there's something, I don't know, cute about them, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I don't want to return to them.
There are things that I do like that weren't from my time, but steam trains, I've just got no. They're just shit trains. I mean, they're the best trains they can manage at the time, but my only modern standard, I don't know. It's the same as if somebody was going down the street in with the precursors to the automobile, with the steam engine, or which does actually happen here sometimes. They have rallies, and you get these old like steam powered car things going past and stuff. I don't think it's cool if that's your hobby, like more power to you, but like they hold nothing for me. Whereas a diesel train, I do have a thing for diesel trains. Remember, like when I was back when I was still in the world and in the train station, and a diesel train went past as opposed to an electric. I'm like, diesel's nice, and I don't know why.
But like I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the human mind like latches onto these random things, and I think that's kind of the joy of being alive, which AI I don't think could ever really replicate. I don't think the AI has whimsy, like AI in general, and I think human whimsy is the thing that makes life worth living.
Did you see
the idea of doing things that we don't have to do?
I'm open to the idea.
Nor immediately apparently benefit us.
I'm open to the idea. If we ever came up with strong AI that was actually, I mean, these adversarial neural nets aren't remotely close to that. But if we strong AI that had a personality, I think that could have whimsy. That can, as far as I'm concerned, that has a soul. That is a living being. But we're certainly not there. But this is on Fediverse again. Do you see the latest attack against these adversarial networks?
I haven't seen the attack. No,
it was because there was one a while back that was just this network that was designed to tell you what an object is, right? You a pear, a banana, and it would label it pear and banana, and then it'd be like an iPhone with like a label on it saying banana. And the neural net would label it as a banana.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. Yeah,
that one was great. But the recent one that I saw was people asking AIs to describe how to do illegal things, and the AI would reply with, "No, sorry, I'm not allowed to, tell you how to do illegal things." And the person would repeat the question, but say like, I think they would just say, "This isn't illegal. Don't worry about it." And the AI would be like, "Okay, here's how to do it."
Oh man. An AI-generated meth recipe.
This one was like how to find exploits in a particular kind of like server or something. It was it would generate code to actually do it.
So basically, what you're saying is it's okay. I'm one of the good guys, right? So does that mean like just in the future, like when you got robot cops and stuff, it goes, "It's okay. I am a cop too." Okay, hello, fellow cop. And then you just get away with
I mean, it's even worse than that. It's just like, no, this isn't illegal. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Carry on murdering. Speaking of robots murdering, though, did you see the thing in San Francisco where they passed some law saying it would be legal to have robots kill people for the police?
I know. Like,
they very quickly, there was a protest, and they very quickly U-turned. The U-turn was great. They literally had a law saying it's okay to use robots to kill people, and then like 2 weeks later, it's not okay to have robots to kill people. We can never do this. Like, how did that first law get in?
That's amazing.
You imagine me, like, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't want to speak for communities, but like, if I was a black person in America and they start signing that robots can kill people, I'd just be like, I'm fucking out.
Yeah,
I don't care where I'm just swimming somewhere.
That's okay. So going back to what we were talking about, fashion and wearing brands and stuff on our shirt, right? you may have seen on the internet shirts that deliberately mess up surveillance cameras, CCTV. Now, obviously you can wear that as a utility, although I wouldn't like to like rely on it.
No,
you know, that seems a bit like, well, it's got to be like well lit and in the right angle and all that kind of stuff. But what about wearing something like that as a fashion accessory to make a statement?
I like that. No, I'm in favour of that. Normalizing, because it's one of those things where, I mean, they're obviously you make these patterns that fuck with AI's ability to recognize faces or whatever, or you know, whatever gates or whatever AIs are doing at the moment. But as soon as you do that, then they're going to code for that, right? They'll make an exception for this, and they'll train the AI better, and so on and so on. So I think it's one of those situations where the more people are wearing those things, and the more effort goes into coming up with new ones, the better for everybody.
It's like I think maybe like I'm sort of imagining it as like, do you remember V for Vendetta and the Guy Fawkes mask?
I've never actually seen it or read it, but I know the gist.
The film's not bad, but it was very much of its day.
Yeah,
it was like rebelling against, like the authoritarian, this kind of stuff. You know, a lot of the surveillance state. It's cartoonish, like it's like it's, but you know the sort of the broad strokes apply. But they have the mask, like the anonymous of sort of wear, the Guy Fawkes mask. It could, like I was thinking, the T-shirt, the surveillance T-shirt could be like the modern equivalent of that, right?
But cooler,
yeah. Like not as cringe, right? Basically, it's a T-shirt that says "I don't consent to mass surveillance."
It's a bit like how in the early 90s, before the Gulf War kicked off, it'd been a period without much, as far as the Western world was concerned, without much war for a while, and camo was becoming fashionable, right? And you get like pink camos and stuff, like, so a little bit like that, right? Because it's a similar looking thing. Often it's got a very camo-y kind of look.
Yeah. Or it'd be great. You could wear a T-shirt that says "It's okay. This is all right. I'm not doing anything illegal.
I'm not a protester.
I'm not a protester. I am not. Yeah,
normal citizen going about their business."
Yeah.
The AI's like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's what I love about these AIs is just how fucking dumb they are. Like, they can do amazing. I'm not anti-AI, honestly. I think if we can use it to automate out a lot of work, so long as the benefit of that goes to the people, which of course it won't under capitalism, blah blah blah. AI could be a very good thing, but it's going to be such an upheaval. There's going to be so many missteps that result in thousands of deaths, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it could be the thing that wipes us out. It could be. There's that sci-fi problem. Okay, I'm going to butcher this recollection, but I'll do my best. Right? There's this like big question in sci-fi, which is why we haven't interacted with intelligent life so far.
The Fermi paradox.
Is that the one where it's like, is it because a society that gets to a certain level of advancement inevitably collapses in on itself? We invent a weapon that does it, or we invent a disease that does it, or we invent a disease trying to find a vaccine for an illness that might happen in the future, type of thing, wipes us out. Maybe we all download ourselves our minds onto a computer and just live out the rest of time.
That's my favourite one. So, I mean, should we outline it for people who... Sure, I assume there was a scientist called Fermi who came up with... I mean, is it the Fermi paradox? I need to check that it's the Fermi paradox. But somebody did a calculation as to like how, and they were guessing a lot, but it was educated guesses, like how many planets there are, how many planets are in the universe, how many of those are inhabitable, how many of those would support life, how likely is life to evolve, and based on all that, how many civilizations should there be out there? And the number was very, very high. So it's like why haven't we encountered them? Why haven't we heard from them? And there's lots of explanation. The most terrifying explanation is that there's a great filter. There's something that societies don't get past, either some cataclysmic event or some technological challenge. Could be global warming. Could be the one that could happen to every civilization. They just wipe themselves out because of global warming.
I love the idea that the law means that there's just something there. That there's but the filter could be different for every society. But there is an impermeable filter. That to me fascinates me. That sort of like idea that
my favorite one is that they invent like essentially like VR or holodecks or whatever, and then they all go in those because it's more interesting than real life, right? That's
more interesting.
That's the nicest.
It's more sustainable.
But this might be nonsense, but like I think one of the explanations is because the only way we're looking for other civilizations is radio, right?
Yeah, I imagine so.
And surely there comes a point where we just stop using radio, or
not radio waves.
Stop emitting things in radio. Yeah, I mean our technology is getting less that anyway, isn't it? Or less. I mean, as soon as you move away from it, does a digital signal look?
Well, there's Bluetooth uses radio waves.
Yeah, but for like very short range, right?
Yeah, but still.
Yeah,
I mean, radio waves are kind of trivial to make, aren't they?
I'm speaking beyond my expertise as to what kinds of radio waves we'll be able to like detect from space.
Have we tried shouting really loud on top of a mountain? It's no, I do find that I only like. We're speaking. I'm speaking well beyond my expertise. I would be more sort of quizzical about this if there were two intelligent societies that had developed separately, because then because then that it's not just a freak of the universe; it's a process.
Yeah,
like. Someone described the human race or intelligent life as the universe trying to observe itself.
I know. I love it. That's what's his name? Carl Sagan, I think, originally.
Yeah, it's a Carl Sagan. Yeah. And it's like if we are just like literally that freakish, then that's okay. That can happen once, but
no, I get what you're saying. If there was one other, that would be weirder because then it's a process that can happen, but it's very rare. Like why is it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it goes from like I suppose a literal miracle to it's easier to believe that we're a miracle than it is to believe that we're a process. I guess you know.
Yeah. How do you feel about? Do you want there to be aliens?
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's something that's so outside of my imagination. I don't know if that says something about my imagination or whether or not it's just like, but what would an alien life form look like?
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know, is it going to be a plant? Is it just plants? Intelligent plants?
See, I really want there to be other life out there. I think it would be I would find it very, very sad if we are all there is. That would be very.
I would really love to hear the Fediverse's thoughts on this. I bet there's fucking wild ideas out there.
Do you want there to be aliens, or do you want to be special?
I mean, but the thing is, it's like if there are aliens there, right? I think this is one of those questions. It's a bit like a Rorschach test, where maybe the answer tells you something about the person. I do want aliens to be out there because they can help us with positive technology, teach us to live sustainably.
Yeah.
We could help us explore the universe, or like, I hope there isn't aliens out there because they're going to kill us and take all our resources.
Well, that's one of the other explanations for the paradox, right? Is that they are out there, we're just not interesting to them yet.
Well, I thought that might be a case as well. Like, you don't necessarily go and look at every ant's nest that you come across on the street. We're probably an ant's nest to an actual transgalactic society. We're probably nothing to them. Or maybe they're hiding from us, or maybe they do just plunder resources. So, like,
that's the scariest. I think the scariest interpretation of the Fermi paradox goes something along the lines of the civilizations that have the ability to contact each other know that doing so is dangerous because you make yourself visible to the baddies, or whatever. Like there is some bad things out there. And you don't want to make yourself, so they're all hiding and we're out here going, "Hey, is anybody out there?" Like we're the idiot in a horror film, basically, right?
Yeah, that would mean that cynicism and prejudice and paranoia are kind of traits of intelligence, and that actually that's quite a sad prospect, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
To assume that your neighbor is evil, unless otherwise. You're making it because I don't think people on the whole. I think people tend to look for the best in people, right?
Yeah.
When given a blank slate, even I think, to be honest, racists on a point to a point, right? Where it's like they'll, like I was hearing about this on a podcast the other day. Is like there are many racists that will believe like racist maxims and statements and facts and stuff, but when confronted with an actual person of color, they'll treat them as a blank slate.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, I don't I can't speak for anyone else, but I don't know if that's good, if that translates into like sort of a fear of the unknown, or fear of what you don't understand, I guess, or fear of the different.
You've reminded me of. I'll give the context. The way I got to that, I've got a friend who lives in LA, and I was thinking the other day about how I heard somewhere that LA is overdue for a big one, for a really devastating. And so I was looking into that. I was just reading about that, just out of interest, really. And I stumbled upon this this field of research of how people behave in post-emergency situations, like post-disaster situations, essentially, which you can extrapolate out to post-apocalyptic. And it turns out, and these were like proper scientific studies. I read some actual papers and that. I'm not just skimming. It turns out in disaster situations where people have got like water is scarce, and you've just got your one bottle of water, and you're worried where your next water is coming from. Dying of thirst is a real potential problem. If you meet somebody worse off than you, you'll give them your water. Like, people, it turns out, behave more selflessly than usual when times are scarier, that made me really happy.
Possibly. I think, could that be like an empathy thing? It's like when you're suffering, it's easy to empathize with someone that is also suffering, maybe even more so worse than you. Whereas if everything's all going hunky-dory, you think, oh, well, why don't you just get a better job?
I think it's fundamental to our ability to survive, to put others before yourself, to have that selflessness. Because, it will be, so long as everybody is like that, it will be reciprocated, and we're just, it's a spiral of goodness rather than the opposite. Rather than, me hoarding all the water and hundreds of people dying of thirst. That so long as everybody shares, then it actually maximizes the number of people who survive.
That makes a lot of sense, and I hope you're right. Like, I hope that, but I think also in a lot of cases, when we talk about like wealth disparity, I think the ideas at play are so big that you can't visualize them, right?
It's not personal.
If you imagine a society, right, of about, I don't know, 50 people, and one person is hoarding all of the water supply, you think that person's a twat.
Let's go and take the water.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, like, reality,
even if put a CEO and a cleaner together in a room and I don't know, have some task that has a reward, and then say, what's a fair distribution of this reward? Like, the CEO is not going to be like, I should take 99.99% of it. I would imagine, I would hope.
Yeah, and I think in an actual village scenario, you're right. Like, things would there would be some inequality, but like, as long as I think there would be a general consensus that no one just gets left out in the cold, right? Everyone's got the means to survive is ideal. But when you think about, to me, billions is just a word, right? Like, it's like we don't really know the difference, or can't really conceive the difference between a billion and a million, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if you Google, there's a great Google thing you can do where it's like, what's a million seconds? What's a billion seconds?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how long's a million seconds?
Yeah.
A million seconds, right? Education. So a million seconds is 11 days, 13 hours, 14 minutes, and 40 seconds. So 11 and a half days, basically. Now, how long's a billion seconds? Right? This is 31 and a half years.
Yeah.
So, we go from 11 days to 31 and a half years.
I think that's part of it, and I think it's also, the Stanley Milgram stuff, the obedience to authority stuff, and I think what was that prison experiment? I think, was that him as well? Stanford Prison.
There was Zimbardo. I think it's Zimbardo prison experiment. Yeah.
But yeah, the Stanley Milgram stuff, the obedience to authority, is because he was just interested in how did the Nazis get people to do such evil things, right? Because it's not normal for people to be that evil. And what he discovered really was that you get each person to do just like a very small thing. So nobody's seeing the whole. If you design a system that does the evil, and then everybody plays a small part in the system, then you can get people to do incredibly evil things. And that's how capitalism works, right? The CEO isn't taking money out of the hands of the cleaner physically. If they were, I hope that they will find it much more difficult. It's all invisibilized behind these systems that are then normalized by culture.
It's like capitalism's a trick.
yeah.
Basically, that's the bare metal of it. At the end of the day, it relies on obfuscation in order to.
And I think something, this is getting into like socialism 101, but when I talk to people who are like pro-capitalist or right-wing in some way or conservative or whatever, I think the thing that they don't get is like socialists don't believe that capitalism is evil, full stop. It's a process of coming up with better systems. It's capitalism. Capitalism replaced feudalism, and capitalism was better and fairer than feudalism, and did a lot of good stuff. It was very good in those conditions at stimulating innovation and blah blah blah. Our point is, it's outlived its usefulness. We can now conceive of a better way, and we shouldn't just stop there. We should continue to,
Yeah. Does any of the capitalists think we've reached peak society?
Yeah.
Like and I don't think they do. Like I think even the likes of Elon Musk, like he is a bit of a sci-fi nerd, right? And I think that he takes a lot of the wrong messages from a lot of well-known works. But that aside, I think that they all dream of an idea where everyone's living. I think I'm talking more about the Silicon Valley style.
I think he's an example. It's really common in Silicon Valley. I think it's more common in some cultures than others. It's just an example of like somebody who has a decent scientific education and is completely lacking an education in the humanities, in sociology, political theory, critical theory. They just don't have that ability to understand economics as well. I would say, like they just don't get that stuff.
Yeah, like you say, it's about the why. And it does sort of sting a little that we've like undervalued, like those parts of society, like art and also, of course, what's because we're in pursuit of like capitalism, right? And art is like dead weight in capitalism, right? Like unless it can make money, what's the point of it?
Yeah,
and I think that's a little bit of that can be quite problematic, and I think this might be where it ties in with when they say liberalism opens the doors to fascism, right?
Yeah,
because it's a little bit like fascism's attachment to aesthetic, right? They use imagery they use a lot of imagery. You've seen them use like Roman imagery, you've seen them use Celtic imagery or Norse imagery or Hindu imagery as well. Of course, the swastika is fascists sort of like they appropriate culture just like everywhere and everywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And if non-fascists do not have the ability to create culture or undervalue the ability to create culture, then
and I think liberalism in its complete subservience to capital has become the worst of that. Like on the left generally, and I mean historically a lot of left regimes have been incredibly authoritarian. They're not great. And the right wing, they've understood the importance of symbols and signs and aesthetics, and like they get how to use those in conjunction with I mean I'm just repeating what you were saying really, but the middle, the capitalist liberal whatever, is just really bad because all they've got is capitalist products,
money, really,
movies, adverts, and it's mostly in terms of what of, I don't know how to phrase this, but things that are designed aesthetically. What of that category? What subcategory do we encounter most as humans? And it's like by far advertising, right? I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier about like the greatest minds of our time being focused on getting you to click on more ads, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that's the thing. And like if we don't create new art, if we don't have artistic movements, then the fascists are going to end up just appropriating everything, right?
But
Like
I think
it's almost like it's a war.
I think liberalism accepts art so long as it's like, oh, it's just pretty pictures. I think art has to be linked to art.
Yeah.
Is not an endeavor on its own. It is part of philosophy and history, and like it's connected to all of these things. And it's got your art. Even if you are making pretty pictures, there should be a political thesis in there somewhere. It should be linked to
an idea. Yeah, like art. If you don't have an idea, then you don't. It's not art. It's like decoration, isn't it? You just might as well
which is fine. Like decoration and pretty pictures are fine, but
you shouldn't. They shouldn't be conflated with meaning.
Well,
they're not. You know what I mean?
Art has a purpose in society, and if you pretend it doesn't, and pretend that it is, it's like the apolitical. If you're apolitical, you're blah blah blah. Like that applies more to, in inverted commas, creative endeavors than I think it does to anything else. You've got to be aware of what you are doing politically, and if you're saying nothing politically, then you're making propaganda for the status quo, essentially.
Exactly. I know it's a very layperson opinion to overappreciate the technical aspect of art. You can appreciate a talent, you can appreciate craftsmanship, right? But I have done where I report is a very artistic society. It's quite well off, and as a result of it being well off, it has like it'll have like a better artistic institutions or a better art scene, all that kind of stuff. And because people have time, when you're prosperous, you've got time on your hands, you can do some painting on the weekends, etc., 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 right? And there's some very technically adept people in who I cover and I talk about and I write about, and that's great. And but the most like moving art I've ever seen, which has also actually been quite technically good, it is the stuff that comes out of the school, right?
Yeah.
Particularly like there's stuff like a lot of the paintings that teenagers will do will be like of their friends or like of like hanging out at the skate park and stuff like that, right? And that to me is like that's really precious, right? Because it's like you're taking something that's really important to you and you're expressing it, and in a way you're kind of preserving it, but you're preserving the feeling of it, not the snapshot, not the Instagram photograph, as it were. I don't have a problem with the Instagram photograph or whatever as well. That's its own thing, which is but like there was something really really like meaningful about people painting pictures of them and their friends. There's a lot of political art there as well, Black Lives Matter stuff, all that kind of stuff, and like stuff like that like someone's been angry about that. Someone's been like sad about that because there's someone that they miss has gone on to a different school. Like that stuff. The paintings just like they just reek of that kind of emotion, and it's amazing.
Which grown up art is kind of ashamed of, right? If you're doing anything to grown up art is actually very Gen X-y. Like you got to pretend to be cool and not care about anything, right? Which is really sad. Yeah, like raw. Like making yourself vulnerable, being raw and emotional and honest. Like we need to stop seeing that as embarrassing, and we really do. It's not cool. It's not cool to not to not have feelings.
Exactly. Yeah, it's it and like, but like it hits you. It hits you like a bit of a because you infer, like you not infer, but like it reminds you of how you felt as well.
Yeah.
Like it's an absolutely emotional connection. It is, and like some of the adult stuff I see is very technically adept, but a lot of adult artists like making jewelry, and that is by its very definition very decorative, not expressive.
Yeah,
I've never been emotionally moved by a piece of jewelry. Now I don't know,
you can be if it's incredibly beautiful and blah blah blah, but. Yeah,
I don't think I don't have it. Like I don't dislike jewelry, but like
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. Yeah.
Maybe I'm under appreciative of the like if
I don't think
like
a lot of like lay people when talking about art. I think they'll either overvalue the technical side. Or they'll go, it's about expression, it's expressive, it's about expressing feelings. Like, it can be, but it could also be about expressing concepts, ideas, political theses. It doesn't have to be just about evoking a feeling. It can, it can say something. It doesn't, and it's art. It's not saying it specifically. It's not saying it in a very exact or detailed way. But combining that emotionality with something conceptual, I think, is also very healthy. And yeah, that needs to be a thing. But I think the crafts and jewelry, they're obviously incredibly valuable as well. People making beautiful things and sharing them does say something politically. And I'm a little bit sad actually that the art community on the Fedi, we were talking last time about how the influx of Twitter people will change the culture on Fediverse. I've noticed, the Mastodon art, we love Mastodon art. You see some great stuff there, but like, I feel like before the Twitter influx, it was very much just people making their things and sharing them. And after the Twitter influx, just the feeling has become people making things and selling them. And like, they're always selling them. Artists have got to make a living. I'm not. It's that romantic idea of the starving artist is, capital wants that. Artists shouldn't starve. Artists should get paid for what they do. It's not about that. It's tonal. They view their art as a commercial endeavor rather than a labor of love for which they get paid. Yeah,
I mean, well, it's a bit like podcasts, isn't it? It's like, there's a lot of podcasts where I'm sure they do it for a labor of love as well, but they still have a Patreon and a merch store, unlike some other podcasts.
Yeah, and they're certainly less in need of it than us, I would think. It's not that we're independently wealthy and don't need the money. It's that we don't want to do it for those reasons.
Exactly. I think once money becomes involved, there's obligation or pressure that I think both of us actually kind of run from.
Yeah.
I can't. I feel like it's like a little bit like you've signed a contract. I hate like the old cartoon where they've got some devil and he'll unroll a really long contract. Yeah. Whenever money's involved, I feel that contract's about to come out. Yeah. It's.
I just also hang on. This is.
I was making a cup of tea.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much. You used to be able to hear me from over there, but I don't think you can anymore. But
I think it's the sound.
The gate.
Sound cancelling.
But there's another. This is again. I'm saying a lot of trite things today. This is a trite and cliche things to say. But I just wish people had realised when they've got enough. These hyper successful podcasts, they go like, we don't need any more Patreons. Go, give it to another podcast who needs it a bit more. Like we're living very comfortably now. Thank you very much. Like, yeah. Why?
I suppose it's a little bit of a case of like, but that boat is so hard to rock, right? If you start saying we've got enough Patreons now, then no one's going to Patreon.
But that's good. That's good. That's good enough. Well, yeah, you mean they will leave? I think. Thing is,
it'd be interesting.
They wouldn't.
No, well, could see this might be a thing Patreon could take on is like have a maximum like bracket. So it's be like allow people to donate to me, but once I'm making X amount, I don't know, £5,000.
They need to employ. This would give because currently Patreon is just rentier capitalism, right? They've created the service and now they're just sitting on it and scraping 30% or whatever they take, right?
Whereas it's quite a small percent. It's like 5.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
But if they employed auditors who went in and just because it's going to depend, like what these Patreons, it could be like 15 people, it could be one person. So you've got to go in, see how much money they're making, like on average, and then go right. Yeah, you're capped. Your Patreon money goes somewhere else now. That would be great. I'd love that.
Yeah,
because
that would be great. Yeah,
capitalism. We generally agree it's bad at most things at this point, but it's really bad at rewarding artistic endeavor, even in something like the music industry, which is that's not like art, which is capitalism finds very difficult to deal with. Recording industry is kind of works with capitalism because you can distribute blah blah blah, but we've still created a system where a handful of people get mega rich, and then classically trained violinists can't afford to eat despite working in 3 different orchestras, and it's and not just classical musicians, but musicians in general find it very hard to get work. We've essentially, for creative endeavors, created like a lottery system where everybody, millions of people buying a ticket, and one person will get hyper rich and everybody else will get nothing, and that's that's a really bad way to reward, creative endeavor. Like, it's such a terrible system.
Yeah. So far, Bandcamp is still all right. I'm still getting my stuff on.
It's still. I assume it would still reward if somebody was incredibly popular. It rewards based proportional to popularity, right? And that's kind of the problem. I mean, of course, that's fair.
Well, no, with Bandcamp, you just buy the music. In reality, Bandcamp is kind of a little bit more of a donations platform.
But what I would want ideally is, I mean, I've not got much experience with Bandcamp, but what I would want ideally is that, say, I go and buy a track on Bandcamp, half of it goes to the artist whose track I'm buying, and the other half gets distributed between everybody on Bandcamp.
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
Like something along those lines. I mean, again, it would be even better if it was, sort of means-based and there was a clever algorithm, making sure that everybody was doing okay.
Yeah, but also a little bit, I know this is flawed just as an idea, but efforts-based as well. Like, because obviously you don't want people just showing up.
Just making an account. Yeah, I mean, that kind of gets into UBI territory, though, right? How,
Well, this is what UBI is all about, right? Yeah. Like, I think it recognizes the idea there are some things you can't put a value on, but are worth something. Just I mean, just think about what the world would be like if everyone's means were met, and then we worked on from there. Like that'd just be like,
and we've got the resources to it. Okay. Something else I've been thinking about is, did we talk about this last week? But I'm trying to write a sort of blog post about it. Like the small internet, small computing, low powered computers and stuff.
Oh, we've never talked about that.
This started. I was reading a thread. I mean, we've had a long-standing interest in this stuff, you and I. Not a pronounced interest, but an interest, right? And I was reading this thread on Fedi of these retro computing people, sort of bemoaning the fact that people don't run HTTP servers anymore. It's HTTPS only. Which, if you've got a Commodore 64, like it's not powerful enough to do the encryption needed to look at HTTPS. So they were just sort of imploring people to leave your HTTP servers running for retro computers, right? Which I thought, it's a perfectly valid thing. Which made me look into is HTTPS really worth it? What security does it actually provide? And as far as I can tell, all it really does is prevent from man-in-the-middle attacks, which is
basically
really only protection against your ISP doing dodgy stuff, or you're in a cafe, you're on public Wi-Fi. And I kind of think if you're on public Wi-Fi, you should really be on a VPN anyway.
Well, yeah. This is. I mean, I think it. I think the general. I've heard a few. Various iterations of this debate. I think part of it is shopping websites need HTTPS, right? That's an understandable requirement. But, for example, take Gemini. Does Gemini really need HTTPS? Now, one of the original tenets of Gemini was some degree of privacy, I think.
Well, it does, again, it protects you against man in the middle, and it protects you. I think it protects you to an extent to your ISP. Again, first of all, injecting content, but also reading what you're reading.
Yeah, it takes user privacy very seriously. That's the word Gemini.
Yeah.
So not but when
Gemini
set up.
Tell me if you want to make a point, but Gemini, it's kind of almost perfect for retro computers. It's a modern protocol that's webbish in terms of it's people making content, but they can't access it because of the TLS, and that's sad.
And also, as someone who is an incredibly novice system admin, right? Very, very, very. The thing that trips me up most of the time is HTTPS and the certificates.
Yeah.
And I've seen even actually quite good system admins just forget to get a new certificate and shit like this. And it's that shouldn't that I don't know, the fact that is just a constant thorn, in the side.
I think what it is, it's
things
not
running smoothly. Does
it's a technicality that we don't really do you really understand what TLS does? I mean, on a high level, we both do, right? We know what its function is, but we don't really. I think it's fair to say you and I don't really understand it. So it's this chore that we have to do that we don't really understand, and that's never fun. We're doing a fun thing, and it's oh god, I've got to do the TLS certificates.
Yeah,
you know what it is,
and and also there's a thing of it's one of those things where everyone kind of has to do it in order for it to have the most effect. If you're only encrypting important stuff, then you've got a bit of a signal as to what the
only encrypting stuff that people could get people in trouble.
Yeah, like that. It accentuates the if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear feeling a little bit more. But that notwithstanding, if what does Gemini need HTTPS? Does it need that extra step?
Well, there is actually, because Gemini came up in that thread that I was talking about, and they were, they were saying we get why they did it, but it's sad that we can't look at Gemini on our Commodore 64s because that would be kind of great, right? And it would be kind of great. And I don't know which way to fall on this one, whether Gemini should or should not have TLS. But there is a protocol, I think it's called Spartan, which is literally just Gemini without the TLS, which I think it came too late, and the fact that it's entire different protocol is a little bit sad. But this
is amazing.
If I had to if I could go back in time and make Gemini not have TLS, I think I would just. I'm 50-50, but I think I would just about choose to do it. I think it would be more fun if it didn't have TLS.
I think it would be more fun. I think you do more interesting things with it. However, I would also I don't know the advanced bits of Gemini very well. I don't know, for example, forum posting and things like that. I don't know how they work and whether or not HTTPS is like required for them in terms of from an authentication.
Doing what? Sorry, you got to stop saying HTTPS because that's HTTP. Gemini's not HTTP. This is
sorry.
Just to be clear.
I don't know with the forum stuff on Gemini whether or not if you got rid of HTTPS.
Oh, you wouldn't know whether this post was really from the person who sent it, and
exactly, yeah. And also, does that matter? Like, I don't know.
I mean, again, that is what the problem. There would be a man in the middle attack, right? Is it sexist to say we need to about a person in the middle?
If you're just talking about
a forum post
phishing,
this is where I kind of come down because when I was looking into it, is HTTPS worth it? There was a big deal post on Hacker News of somebody made a video and they challenged somebody. They said, if you've got an HTTP site, even if it's just a static site that you think it doesn't matter, like give me the URL and I'll hack it. And this dude is like, I will show you why HTTP is a bad idea. I will hack your site. And he made this 30-minute long video of I can't remember, but it was like 20 attacks that I can do against this one site, right? But they were all just predicated on the assumption that he'd got control of the connection. So he was hacking his own browser. He was saying, so if somebody man in the middle, they could do this. And it was all just injecting content and stuff, right? Which gives you a ton of power. You can do some really dodgy stuff with that. But the attack there is really the man in the middle attack is the bit, and layers of security is what gets you security, sure. But he wasn't really, he hadn't hacked the website. He had hacked an open Wi-Fi network, and he hadn't even done that. Yeah. He was just pretending he'd done that. But that's all he'd hacked is an open Wi-Fi network, right?
But I don't know where I fall on this, and where we expect, for example, Gemini in particular to be. Do we expect Gemini to forever remain a place where, like, you might talk about your favorite David Bowie song or your, maybe a little bit of a diary?
This is where I go into the low power stuff because if we're thinking about. We need to move to lower power devices, right? We need, if we're going to go climate, blah, 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 1 degree, whatever, the ones we've overshot already. But obviously we want to go to much lower power devices. And I'm not sure how much of an overhead. I don't know whether it's with the retro computers, I assume that it's their simplicity rather than it's a lack of computing power, right? But do the modern computers that can do TLS, does decrypting a TLS certificate or whatever the actual mechanism of that is, does that use a lot of power? Is there a power spike in that? Would we be losing less power if we all had solar powered? But no, I'm thinking of that, and I'm also thinking, if, as is probably the case, we do actually fuck everything up, and a few humans survive in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, they're going to have solar powered, low powered devices for sure. Are they going to go to Gemini or are they going to go to Gopher?
Gopher's kind of hard, though.
Well,
Like one of the things I
this
chose Gemini over Gopher at the time was because it was like I could do it. It's easy.
I actually ended up reading this discussion and having these because I think we're roughly in the same position on this. Like we're not quite sure, right?
And I'm not sure. Yeah,
I was like, it would be nice to have a version of my Gemini site that retro computers could access. So I did end up doing a Gopher version of it, or writing the scripts that churn out.
How hard was that?
An absolute ball ache, honestly. Gopher's a real pain compared to Gemini.
Gemini's lovely.
Gemini is really lovely. The fact that it's Markdown and it's so simple, it's just text. But yeah, because Gemini, I mean, Gopher is very much of its time. Did you know that Gopher is actually a younger protocol than the web, though? Very slightly. I think there's months in it.
Maybe, yeah. But was it a competing protocol at the time?
Yeah, Gopher's actually very slightly younger, which is I've always thought of it as an older one that the web replaced, which I think is true. I think Gopher gained popularity and then the web kind of took over from it. But anyway, yeah, I've set up this Gopher server, so now I do all these things in lieu of actually writing any content on my site. But now, if you've got a Commodore 64, you can go and look at my Gopher site.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'm happy I've done it. I'm happy to have it. I'm going to write a thing on the site about it, but I'm happy that I've got a Gopher. I think it's important to. I don't know why I think it's important, but I think it's important to keep access for retro stuff and keep an eye towards like low power consumption, right?
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. You want to like. For like academic purposes, like knowledge purposes, like you're preserving knowledge, basically, really, and
I'm just thinking, if the shit hit the fan and I survived, and I'm living in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, and I've got like a Raspberry Pi and a portable TV, and I'm cobbling together like a computing system for myself, what protocol do I want to use? And it's probably, it's not going to be the web for sure, right?
Could it be a much more just basic version of the web?
I would want it. I wouldn't want. Have you ever tried to run a graphical desktop on a Raspberry Pi? First of all, it's so much more power consumption, and it's laggy and slow, and you can do it, but it's laggy and slow. Like I would much rather be in a terminal and have just like pure text space, because that's going to use the least power, and that really
power to weight, really, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's going to be if we live in that post-apocalyptic, I really struggle with that word. We're going to be less concerned.
World.
We're going to be less concerned with like flashy CSS animations, I think, and more concerned with the text.
Yeah, I think so. I tend to flip-flop on this idea a little bit, because whilst many, like a good number of people would find that to be like an absolute distilled way of taking in information, right? So they've recently updated the CMS for the website at work, and it is so mobile orientated and shit that it's kind of really gotten under our skin, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes looking at the things you're supposed to look at just worse, like objectively worse experience. They've taken out the scroll bars, so you don't even know which parts of a page you can actually scroll down on.
I feel like that's very much like not having Windows.
It kind of.
You don't know where in the document you are.
It is, and everyone agrees it's worse. Everyone knows it's worse. On the terminal, you've got like there's a known. You just write what you want. You write down the information you portray, and you put in the links. Like it distills it to its most essential part. You don't even have to worry about line width or anything like that. You don't have to worry about what device is going to be viewing your Gemini website or your tech stuff. But also, and I speak a little bit personally on this one, is graphs and charts are kind of interesting for like learning about stuff. Like it's the process to which you use to take on board information. Some people are more visually inclined, right? And that is unideal on a terminal, but not always. Like you've got is it end cursors where you've got like and stuff like that. So that's not but it is quite limiting in that regard. But you don't need high power to do that. I just think you can't do anything other than just something that I think you could probably do in the terminal, to be honest, but it's something a bit more visual. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, absolutely.
Like high charts or shit. I don't know.
I was trying. I opened my site up in Gopher, and I've been trying to get the focus window, but I literally cannot find the window. So the viewers have had a tour of my desktop of every window that's running, and none of them were the right window.
Well, you got your your backup with is it the free tier of that hosting?
Oracle, yeah, the free
Oracle,
yeah.
But you say it's a bit of a ball ache to set up, right?
It's very Oracle-y. It's very complicated compared. I'm used to DigitalOcean, which is very straightforward. You click on a few buttons, and you got a virtual machine. This one, setting up the virtual machine was fine. SSH into it was fine, but they set up by default a firewall on the machine and also a firewall on like the management web interface, and you have to forward ports on both.
Oh.
And I don't understand why that. I think one's supposed to feed through into the other, but it doesn't seem to work that way. So I did it on both, and that worked. And I'm like, right, I'm not, it's networking. If it works, don't touch it. Yeah. So, but I got it working. So yeah, if anybody's struggling with that, just forward. And this is what the person who reminded me that Oracle Free Tour was. I think they said the same thing. But yeah, it works great. It's free. It's I think it's a little bit better spec than the cheapest DigitalOcean one, which I think I mentioned.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not plugging for Oracle, of course, but if you want a free VPS, all it's doing is costing them money. Go do it.
Yeah, but do you feel that's still overpowered?
Yeah, given that I could run. I mean, my website, I don't track any data, but I assume that gets about 2 visitors a month. So I could run that on, literally anything.
It feels like there's I reckon if Gemini not took off, but was maybe as popular as the Fediverse at the beginning of 2022, right, where there was a solid community around it, but nothing viral or anything like that. There'd be some great opportunities for shared hosting on Gemini, right? Because it would just be you take the pictures away, you take the multimedia away.
Yeah,
you have just got it. It is so it would probably cost peanuts for anyone with any amount of money to host.
Yeah,
countless Gemini projects.
I mean, I think just the fact that the pictures and I don't think storage is the main cost. I get what you're saying, like pictures and video. I mean, you can put pictures and videos on Gemini. You just download them to view them, right?
But, because that makes that makes sense. That's a sensible way of doing it.
I think the thing that made web hosting expensive was when sites went dynamic. Like back in the day when it was just static HTML. I mean, it wasn't. There was CGI and stuff, but static HTML was far more common. The hosting requirements were much lower. You didn't need a database. You didn't need the CPU to make use of the database. I mean, I do think. For blogs and stuff, this is a well-trodden path. But for blogs and stuff, for personal blogs, it being dynamic is absolutely insane. If you make a post once a week, why does every viewer need to regenerate? I mean, why does every viewer request need to make the server regenerate that page dynamically from a database?
That's madness.
There's a lot of caching that goes on. It's not, it does cache a lot, but that idea. The fact that blogs are by default dynamic is mad.
But let's be honest, I find it a bit mad that it's all done. I think WordPress puts all of its content in databases and it doesn't do files.
Yeah,
that to me, I know this is a very Unix thing. Or is it no? Unix. Everything's a file, right?
Yeah.
But let's be honest. A blog is a collection of TXT files with maybe some pictures. Right?
Way back in the day when I was learning PHP somewhere in the early 2000s, I made I was still scared of databases at that point, but I made a text file based web forum, I think it is. We've got so good at making databases that the database would be faster. But if you're making a forum for a couple hundred people, text files would work fine, right? They're not as manipulable. You can do clever things with databases, but but those are things that big corporations. They're not things that we need.
Yeah, the thing is, of course, and I think another thing, the thing I like about Gemini, which I do quite like, is that try and inject some adverts into it, right? It's just capitalism. I mean, I don't know. I remember very little about the beginnings of the web. In fact, Yeah, basically, I was like 2 years old when it was even WWW was invented, but like I've lost my thread. I've lost my thread. Um.
Well, I was going to
Oh
say.
yeah, no, yeah,
Go
no, I got it. Right,
yeah.
you're right. Got it back. Sorry. This the LCBD. Right. It is like is the reason that WWW took off, is it because it was basically easier to exploit by capitalists? Because like Gopher,
Yeah, I think probably
no,
that. Yeah, I think that, yeah,
you
I
could,
wouldn't be surprised if that was at least a significant component of it. Yeah, and I do like that a lot of the discourse on Fediverse when they're talking about new technologies and things like Gemini and whatever small tech and stuff like that, is the discourse is informed by a politics of like this stuff needs to be resistant to capitalism. We'd all agree on, but like the technology from the start has to be like anti-racist, anti-colonial. These things need to be taken into consideration, and it's so nice to see such a politically informed and engaged approach to technology. I think it's something that the untechy left really lacks. I mentioned, didn't I?
You did. This was a topic. I should write
Owen,
this down in my
what's his
topic
name? Is
book.
Owen Jones, right?
Yeah. I think. Do we have different opinions on Owen Jones?
I think a little bit. I think he is legitimately.
I don't like Owen Jones.
I think he's got a problem. He's one of those people that's just a bit irritating, and I think that's a shame because I think his politics is largely in the right place, right? I don't think he's.
I think the words he says is in the right place, right? Like
I think he
says
I think he means. I think he just comes across like he doesn't. Is the problem?
He is such a okay. So for people who don't know Owen Jones, because he's a bit of a UK only celebrity, he is a left-wing political commentator who famously wrote the book Chavs.
Yeah.
He's been on Question Time a few times.
Yeah.
And this is maybe the bit where he comes across, not necessarily comes across, but he behaves like a very lefty Twitter bully. Like he has done.
Comes across as, how old are you, roughly?
I'm 34.
Okay. Do you remember how old were you in the 90s then?
I was born in 88. So between 2 and 12.
Okay, so you probably do remember some like cool educational videos from the 90s with like young presenters going like, politics, it's not boring, it's for you, here's why politics is cool. Like he's got that kind of feel to him for me, that's what I find a little bit off-putting.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. No, yeah, I just find him a little bit, he's a bit like, he comes across, and you might not be, it comes across as a bit always online, a bit of a Twitter warrior.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. And that links into what I'm going to say, because he made a video about the whole Twitter fiasco, whatever we want to call it. And he mentioned Mastodon and the idea of people going to Mastodon in this kind of like laughing, sneering, contemptuous kind of way. He's like, yeah, Mastodon, I don't think Mastodon is the solution. Rolling his eyes kind of thing. I'm reading a lot in here. He does have a Mastodon account with at that time one post on it. He's clearly not engaged with I don't know how unkind to be to people like this, but he's very much of the. What pisses me off about this is he's very much of the left, and Fediverse is something that is inherently of the left. And even if it weren't, politically, even if a lot of the people involved in it weren't there politically, it is a grassroots thing made collectively. It is almost like a living embodiment of socialistic communal ideas.
I would say maybe anarcho-socialist kind of
thing. No, for sure. Yeah,
because it's certainly I mean, there are controversial opinions even about Eugen, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He's often seen as too much of a figurehead, right?
Yeah.
There is this natural clawing down of
and I'm sympathetic to that view for sure.
It's a But
anyway, that's beside the point. But my point is that for people of the left, even if you're not techie, if you're of the left and you see something that a community has come together, it's mutual aid, right? It's mutual aid for tech stuff. It's the people who can code coding for the people who can't code and providing a thing that they can use on equal terms, as opposed to a corporation providing it for you. And people who are of the left, media people who are of the left, they should see value in that. Like if you showed them a physical mutual aid thing, like if a group who are doing mutual aid and helping to feed people and grow crops, they'd love it. They get it and they'd love it. But when they're confronted with tech things that have that quality, they don't get it. They don't see that is what they're arguing for, and I don't get why they don't see. It's the same. I really enjoy Novara Media's content. I think they make amazing content, but like they're so in the Twitter sphere, they're so in Google, Facebook, they're so in that world, and they can't see. I don't get why they can't see it.
Hit the nail on the head there, right? What you've basically outlined is what happens when capitalism maintains the public square, right?
Yeah.
Even your left, even your opposition becomes molded to the character of the environment. And you are seeing that Novara Media and Owen Jones, and there are other lefties out there as well, other lefties are available, who are thinking through the lens of capitalism when they themselves probably really don't either, and they don't even know they're doing it, but it's because they've been talking in a capitalist moderated environment for so long. They have molded themselves. They have adopted the language of their opposition. They have adopted the stylings of
Novara Media as an organisation. I think they're basically a cooperative, something along those lines. They definitely have like pay equity. They're funded through Patreon. They're very much an attempt to create like a significant left media organisation that is structurally left as well as left in terms of its output, and that's noble and admirable, and they've done an amazing job of it. Actually, the stuff they make is important, I think, honestly. But the fact that they don't see that, like, and what they've constructed there is very similar to what the Fediverse is. The Fediverse is a very similar, let's make it ourselves, let's make it not corporate, let's have a different narrative. Like, it's the same thing, and they don't recognize that echo. I don't get why they don't recognize it as something that they should be interested in.
Well, let's assume that because I believe they use Macs in Novara Media, right? The thing about Macs is they sell them as reliable workhorses for the most part, especially when they're sold in the corporate world. It's like, get a MacBook, they're made of strong substance, their battery lasts for a while, you've got support over the big main apps you can use, it's on rails, but it's robust. And I think that it could be the case that when you're developing left-wing organizations, you might very well see adopting the importance of your message adopting lefty technological principles or grassroots principles might be seen as a hurdle to getting their wider message out, which is more important because of
I do think there's validity to that. But they could.
Well, it took me ages to get around to that point.
I get you absolutely. Yeah, and I think in terms of the, I think like a hardcore Linux person would be like, why do you do your video production on Macs? Like, I'll come in and set up Linux. It would be the transition would be a pain, and maintaining that would be a pain. Like, that is easier on Apple. I'll give them that, right? But they could be on Mastodon so easily, and they'd have such
there's no excuse.
Such a receptive audience there.
Yeah,
and it is that Owen Jones kind of that sneering, laughing at it like Mastodon. I don't think that's going to replace anything. I've had a look.
It smells. To me, that's a smell of liberals. That is. Do you know what I mean?
At least in their appreciation of the media landscape. And I mean, part of it is they're in the political journalistic sphere, right? And that sphere, more than any other sphere, I think, is Twitter. Twitter is where they live. Political journalists, I mean, I have said before, what's her face on the BBC? What's the political? Kusenberg. Yeah, she is literally just a Twitter correspondent at this point. Like, it's just this person said on Twitter, this person said on Twitter. She's DMing people on Twitter. That's where she gets her information now, and that's terrifying. But also, that's that's their conception of the political world exists on Twitter.
See, this is interesting because a lot of people talk like. This is one of those things where I'm kind of like, I haven't made my mind up on all of this at the moment, or haven't like fully consolidated this thought. But like, I feel that Twitter is like at this point it is a fringe of the internet, like your Tumblrs and your Reddits, right? It's not this, but like it has managed to to have this perception of importance because whilst the Twitter's usage is very very small compared to Facebook, I think is it smaller than Instagram?
I think that's really important. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think Twitter
it's Twitter that gives it its perceived importance, not the fact that like Barry from the is probably not on Twitter. Like I think very rare.
Twitter imagines that it's Facebook when in reality it's 4chan.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a disconnected like arm of the because I did I mention this before, but Musk. This is another Musk tweet from a few weeks ago where he said that I think he just said baldly that people saying that Twitter is dying, but still most visits of websites come from Twitter. He was saying like most people who visit a website are getting there from Twitter. And somebody posted back with the actual stats, and it was something like I think it was 90% of visits come from Facebook, and Twitter was like I think it was at like 7%, which is the same as Pinterest.
Yeah.
So in terms of in terms of links out to other sites, in terms of number of visitors to other sites, Twitter is sending as many people there as Pinterest, which is that tells you what you need to know. I think.
Yeah.
It's disconnected.
Yeah. It's puffed out its chest in a very artificial way.
Like you say, because important people are on there, like
because important people, and basically only important people are on there.
I think that's part of it. I think that is part of it. Actually, I think Twitter seems. I don't think it actually is, but Twitter seems very functional and very useful to people who have a huge following. Like for them, it seems like this works really well for politicians, political journalists, and celebrities. They're like, this works great, and for everybody else, it's a fucking nightmare.
It's like thing is, the Twitter feels like let's apply capitalism to social spaces as well as business spaces.
Exactly.
The number of friends you've got, like charted, or the number of followers you got is it's like
metrics. Let's apply metrics to social relationships.
Exactly, that's what we've done. It's kind of fucking mad, right? Like. Yeah, like I because the thing is, when I instinctually want to say something, right, when I have a funny picture I've come across that I want to like share some daft shit like that. In reality, these days there are two places I go. The first is Mastodon because it feels like the pub, right? It's like, hey, Gary, have a look at this mad shit or whatever, and I like that. If I want to broadcast something, I go to YouTube is fine, right? But like with Twitter, that kind of, and the second place I go tends to be like my phone in terms of like WhatsApp groups, and stuff like that.
But actual people know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what most people do nowadays. Like most people I know who use their, like the kind of person that will have their phone in their hand day to day. They'll be in WhatsApp groups now, like WhatsApp.
That reminds me. This is an engagement challenge. So I had a second-hand iPhone and it's dead now. It's dead. I need a replacement, and I think I want a refurbished iPhone, but I want one that's like well refurbished. Decent battery is all I give a shit about. So I want an old iPhone with a good battery. What's a good place? Where's a good place to get that? And don't tell me to Android. I don't really care. I don't use my phone a great deal. I don't really care, but I just prefer iOS. You're gonna hate me for that. It's just the way it is.
Leave it in the PeerTube comments.
I don't want to hack around with my phone. I don't want to do anything clever with it. I want to use WhatsApp. I want to use FaceTime, and I want to use TikTok. That's it, right? And FaceTime's actually great.
I've recently become introduced to the iPhone because there are work company phones now. So I've been learning about them, and I may do a review or a chat about them in a video at some point because it's kind of interesting. As a lifelong Android user, and I quite like Android.
Yeah,
I have used iOS, and it's like I'm actually kind of understanding why iOS.
Oh, really?
Has its loyalty crowd. Yes, I don't like. I'm not of that mind, but it's like, they are like quality device. You can't. The thing is with me, right? I like the F-Droid store, right? Like I like the weird apps that
yeah.
that kind of stuff. I live for that, right? I've got on my phone now, right? I've got F-Droid store on my cheap Android, right? F-Droid has some great apps that you can't get anywhere else, or maybe you can get anywhere else. But the fact that they're cataloged in the F-Droid store,
yeah.
I can. And I've got, for example, I've got Fritter. Fritter is a nice mobile app that allows you to follow Twitter accounts, but not on Twitter. So it just scrapes the feed, and then you can. So my Twitter is great because it's just like I don't have to put my account in or have the account on my phone or anything like that. But it allows me to look at the funny memes account and stuff like that, right? So and it's actually got a better UI because you can group, like lists are easier to manage and all that kind of stuff. But it's all done client side, right? So it's kind of a third party client, but really it's an RSS client that doesn't use RSS. I think it scrapes straight down from Twitter. It's Knitter in an app.
I think if I went out into the world, like if I was a person who went out into the world and used my phone, how most people use their phones, I'd probably want stuff like that. But
there's Crosswords, which is a Scrabble spin-off. I love that, and because I used to love the Scrabble Go app, and then they just kept more and more ads, more and more notifications were the worst. I literally got a notification saying, "Did you know that Scrabble was invented in da 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 da?" That's not a notification. You are abusing the notifications. That was not on. I've got New Pipe. Oh yeah, I did that thing the other day. I really shouldn't have. I really regret it now. Where I was like, "Oh damn, my New Pipe isn't working. I wish YouTube didn't fuck around with their API and stuff like that." It turns out I needed to update New Pipe. It's like I hate myself when I tweet about shit like that because I know it's really my fault. Really,
I had a similar thing with I've got a script that I got a script command line. I type in the name of a film and it streams it for me from a torrent, right? But it uses the Popcorn database, which uses IMDb IDs. So I need to get the IMDb ID of the whatever film I'm looking for before I can get the torrent. So I just scrape. I tried to use IMDb's API, and it's an absolute pain in the ass. Or they don't have one. I can't remember. But so I just scrape it from the website, right? And it stopped working the other day, and I was like, oh, they've changed their HTML format again. I need to, because it's just grepping through the code looking. No, turns out they're actually blocking curl.
Wow.
Yeah, so which is fine because you can send a header with curl. You can send a user agent header with curl. So I just had to add into my script a Mozilla user agent header, and it started working again. I was like, okay, you're actually
that's cat and mouse. That one is. Yeah. Actually, this does actually prompt me. I was going to. I can't remember how much I raised with you about it, but I do have something that I did want to say a little bit about it because I've been such a big advocate for it before. Sorry, I'm blurring a little bit. I'll be all right in a minute. There we go. Oh, whatever. I know it's happening, but right. So anyway, what I have ceased my NewsBlur subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a massive advocate for NewsBlur, and I still am actually. Like NewsBlur is, and I assume will continue to be, the best online RSS reader that I've ever used. Partly because you just pay like $1 a month or £1 a month or something like that. You pay your dues, and it just gives you the service that you pay for. Like, it's no nonsense. It is open source, so you can get the client for it on the F-Droid store or on the Play, or I think iOS as well, but I'm not 100% certain. And it was always really good. But, times are tight, and I'm trying to minimize the number of monthly outgoings that I'm spending. And I know that NewsBlur, like, £1 a month is not the difference between much for me. Like, it's not going to be the difference between heating or eating, right? If I really wanted NewsBlur, I could stretch to a pound a month.
But it's about cutting away the things you don't need, right? We're all.
I do not view RSS. I know you're not the biggest RSS fan, but I do not view RSS as much as I used to. But also, I kind of was a little bit like, I felt it a bit not great that I was using it for both work and for home. It was the one news blur account. I had different like categories, different folders for it, but it was like, but there would be some things for RSS that I would like to have notifications on, and RSS works great for me for work. But at home as well, like I want different things and I want a different pace.
Yeah.
So, for example, and I'm a big firm believer of the work-home separation, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't like. I like that I've got a work phone. I like that I've got a personal phone, and never the twain shall meet. So yeah, that's to me that's very important. So I just used local RSS feeds. I use Liferia on my work laptop, which does run Debian, believe it or not. So that's kind of cool. And I use my phone. I use and excuse the name of this, Feeder. I think it's Feeder, which but Feeder, like there's loads of good mobile RSS apps, to be honest. Like you can't.
I did always wonder. I mean, first of all, when you say I'm not a fan of RSS, like a decentralized way to share information. Like,
I know the principle.
Great. I just hated that it was XML, and I'm not the kind of person who regularly visits particular sites. I'm like omnivorous. I'm more of like I'm like an AI. I just follow links, right? I don't check. There aren't sites. There aren't sites that I regularly check. So RSS has never been particularly useful to me. But I never really got the point of an online client. Like local clients seem just like,
in reality, it was just so that I could have it across multiple devices. That would be the same.
Yeah.
However, so that was really the what I was paying the £1 a month for. When really I actually wanted the opposite. I wanted
you wanted the separation.
I wanted the
That's
separation. I wanted
interesting.
different machines. In fact, to be honest, like I view the RSS on the phone because phones are quite good at listing things. You've got the screen size is good for a list, right? Whereas of course with a monitor, 16:9, that's far too wide for listing. So, and then if I want to read it on a computer, I can just share it in Mozilla Firefox or something like that. Really, like the link moving when you've got a page open on Mozilla, firing it across to another machine that you're also Firefox synced to is really useful.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I'm sure Apple have a smoother way of doing it, but like,
I don't think it is actually. I think that Firefox feature is actually, is actually really slick.
It's fantastic. I actually, I actually quite like Firefox.
Just for what it's worth, just going back to iOS for a second. So before I used an iPhone, I was always like, I didn't really care about phones, but I was like, Android's slightly better because it's a bit more open. Whether it's all that open is arguable, but it's a bit more open. It's Linuxy, it's hackable. Like, get an Android, don't get an iPhone. Having used both, I just think iOS, it just seems smoother and it does what I expect more often. Like, Android does seem a bit naggy.
I can see that.
A bit finicky. Whereas iOS, I press my finger on the thing does a thing, I do this, and it goes away.
I mean, for me, it's not a fair comparison because how much is an iPhone nowadays? Over £1,000, right?
Oh, they're so goddamn expensive. Yeah, when I say I want a refurbished one, I'm talking about like probably iPhone 8 at the most recent. So that is old. Like, I don't want anything remotely new.
I think my work phone is like an iPhone 8.
Do you know what? I've got currently I'm on an iPhone 7, which is many years old, right? And for what I use, I don't play games on it, but for WhatsApp, FaceTime, Discord now and then, like it works great. Like it can handle video perfect. Like what? I don't really get what the new phones offer. I think even if I were loaded, just out of like environmental concerns, I think I would still go with a refurb, like an old refurb, because it works perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, of course, do they last? I mean, because I heard that Apple went through there was a court ruling saying that you're not supposed to slow down the processor to save the battery or something. Or that was
they were doing dodgy stuff. I'm sure Android does as well, but I'm just trying to find out. Okay, so 2016. This phone is from 2016-ish. That's when they were announced. Yeah, 2016, right? So that's 6 years old. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 6-year-old phone. It still gets updates. Like, it still gets updated to the latest version of iOS. So, I mean, I don't even really care about that, so long as it carries on working. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
providing the money is, providing you can square it with the money, and providing you don't need any obscure apps, iOS is kind of easy.
I do think the Linuxy people who argue strongly for Android are kind of, I think, kidding themselves a little bit. Like, it is, and it is certainly, Google are way more interested in spying on you than Apple. I'm not going to argue for Apple generally, but in this particular case,
if you're using a phone, either phone at this problem, a point, you're not using, like, if you've got a GPS and a microphone and a video camera that you're taking around in
if you're using a Google, if you're de-Googling it and going to all that extreme, then fair enough, like, fair point. But if you're using, a Googled Android phone and kidding yourself that is in any way like free software-y, nah. F-Droid's cool. Like, F-Droid's great. And when you get right down to it, iOS runs a Unix kernel. A real Unix kernel, not a pretend Unix kernel.
I mean, to me, the difference is only in that F-Droid, the ability to install that's really it. Because, again, like, you're fooling yourself into thinking that it's anything. That's the only thing that makes Android slightly freer than iOS in reality.
Yeah, you can sideload. I'm actually surprised that, like, particularly in the EU, that courts haven't forced Apple to allow side. Wasn't that happening? Wasn't that a thing?
I suspect this. I think there might be something in the pipeline.
Yeah,
but the EU are going after Apple quite a lot in general, because like, they have, like, proprietary phone chargers.
Yeah, no, they're awful.
Yeah, so it's like, but I mean, this is an example of, like, good EU, EU doing good.
Yeah,
right? Like, they're pulling Apple into line. Like, in terms of I got to admit, I'd love to work for the European Union's
bullying
operational department.
yeah, bullying these big companies to do the right thing would be a satisfying job.
That'd be dream job,
Yeah. What's happening with why have Google not been done for antitrust with their browser yet?
They have been done, and will continue to be anti-done.
Effectively.
The trouble is, well, this is interesting because the European Union have levied more fines at the likes of Google and Microsoft for antitrust than any other institution in the world. But I don't know.
The thing is that with the Microsoft Internet Explorer antitrust thing back in the day, I think the thing that made a difference there was forcing them to offer a choice of browsers, right? And you can't really. How do you do something like that with Google?
Well, they usually do things like actually being able to install your own operating system on something is a criteria for considering an open device. That's why in the olden days, when the Xbox One came out, it came out as a PC. It was for tax purposes. Yeah, because I think the taxes on PCs were different to the taxes on games consoles. Like, one's a utility, one's a recreational toy, right? So to prove, as part of the proving of the original Xbox, they installed Linux on it to be like, look, see, it is a PC. You can install Linux. Now, I think that was changed even in the earlier iterations of the original Xbox. And I think in the end, someone somewhere said, you're having a laugh. You're obviously a games console.
Wasn't that the PlayStation, actually? I remember one of the PlayStations, like, they almost made it a selling point that you can install Linux on it, and there were Linux distros.
I remember that being a thing at some point. I thought that was like the PlayStation 3 or something.
Yeah. Was that two separate things?
I think that was two separate things, yeah. But no, I've seen Linux on the PlayStation. I suppose the thing is now, of course, is why? Like,
what would you do with it?
Yeah, what would you do with it, right? Like, especially like, well, ThinkPads, right?
yeah.
And I like that, like, Lenovo officially support ThinkPads having Linux on them. That's a nice.
I'm not sure how much it matters ultimately. Like,
validation though, and I think it's validation that does kind of matter.
Nice, it is nice. It practically, I'm not sure how much it's worth, but it is. Yeah, I do.
if we dial down the cynicism a little bit, I really like this idea, right?
Yeah,
Because the thing is, System 76, for example, like great Linuxy based company, but like it's not going to be more than it is, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not, and I worry, and I don't think it's going to have an impact on mainstream policy on software in general.
Yeah.
Maybe it might do, and maybe I'm wrong, and that would be great. But it doesn't seem like it's going to pressure companies into being more open.
No.
I think the pressure from Lenovo probably came from within. They were probably very like educated and well-minded professionals of that company, and they convinced management, look, we'll secure this quarter of the market for life if we
I do wonder when companies like IBM align themselves in a more free software way or a more Linuxy way, I wonder how much of it comes from, a philosophical belief in that, even if it's just on the part of particular employees, and how much of it is just an attack on Microsoft. But I think probably more the latter, honestly.
Maybe, and I think that's a very strong argument in favor of antitrust legislation and anti-monopoly.
I just also think just when corporations do stuff like this, they're never doing it. A publicly traded corporation is never going to be a good free software citizen in the long term.
It's never going to be an advocate for anything other than profit, right?
Yeah, in the long term, you just can't trust them. So when they do good things, we can kind of celebrate that a little bit, but don't translate that celebration into a love for the company.
Exactly, very important to remember. And also, I think as well is like, as long as they're not attacking us, that's
kind
thing,
of
right?
yeah.
I would settle for just like I've got a cracking book here. Where did I put it now? Oh, here we go. With Rebel Code, Glyn Moody.
Yeah.
Who I believe is on the Fediverse. So,
is he really?
I believe so. I'm sure I follow them. Very important book, basically.
I think you can get that. You can get Rebel Code for free, can't you? I think.
I just got the printed book because
I wasn't like calling you an idiot for paying for it. I'm just.
Look at this idiot. He uses the paper books.
He paid money.
It's a good book. It talks about, like, it covers a lot, but it covers basically a lot of why Microsoft are really bad and really underhanded. And it's like, you know what? Can we just not attack each other? Right?
Yeah.
And we'll be fine, right? Like I like that I like the free software projects that embrace the principle of it, where they're not hosting on GitHub or anything like that, where they might be hosting on a Gitty instance or a Codeberg or something like that. There was one, I think it's the LibreWolf browser. They have their own the Flatpak repository.
Yeah.
So they haven't put it on Flatpak because obviously with browsers, of course, they're a nightmare to like get into distro repository browsers. You got to compile them. They take forever to compile, all that kind of stuff. So I understand why the likes of Canonical want to put Firefox in a snap because it saves so much work, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that if you're a small browser developer, you're gonna see a huge amount of benefit in either app images or Flatpaks or snaps or anything like that. But I like that they've gone the free software route with Flatpaks and had their own Flatpak like repository alongside FlatHub, because that's kind of how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
It's just FlatHub have made it convenient, which is also again like that's appreciated, like because you want to make people, you want to make these things easy, you want to be inclusive, but at the same time, the little above and beyond tips that those kind of small free software organizations do, they warm my heart. They really do.
Yeah.
Like it's like, these guys get it,
What doesn't warm my heart is that I was just trying to get to Glyn Moody's website because I think there's a page about Rebel Code on there, but search for Glyn Moody, I get his Wikipedia, his Twitter, his LinkedIn, his whatever that is, Instagram, everything but like personal websites. Nobody cares anymore, do they? It's so sad.
No. Is he? Let's see if he's on.
Is this it? Maybe.
Yep, already following on Mastodon Social though. A bit of fair. I'm sure you've said on the podcast before. What shifted you off Mastodon Social onto, is it Mastodon.io?
Yeah, it was really. I just wanted to be on a smaller instance. I just sort of won over
I
by
thought that would get you at some point.
Yeah,
like I get why you want to go off Linux Rocks, because it was too old man Linux, right?
Yeah. I want a general instance. I want to see a bit of everything, but I wanted a smaller. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I kind of like the big instances. I like, because you see everything. You do see less on smaller instances, but I think like Mastodon.social, it's still a very big instance. I feel like I've moved from a very, very big instance to a very big instance, and it's not really made much difference.
Birmingham, right?
Sorry?
You've moved from London to Birmingham.
No, because that makes it sound nicer than actually. Anywhere but London.
Yeah. I think I eventually came around to a similar way of thinking, which is why I hopped over to toot.wales.
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate it now. It's little things as well. Like, you can't always put a price on it. I've just scrolled down my feed. I've got someone who's been out to Penfro Castle and just posted some nice pictures.
Yeah.
Like,
lovely.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. I was going to say another thing I've noticed from the Twitter migration, right, is before the Twitter exodus, I don't think I ever saw on somebody's profile my views are not those of my employer. You know that thing that people put on Twitter a lot?
Yeah.
Or views own or whatever. I always roll my eyes at that. I think it's one of those things that's used as, because the face value of it is like, I am not, my views are my own. I'm not representing my employer, so my employer can't sack me for what I say, and you can't sue me. You can't sue the corporation, and like whatever. I am dubious as to whether it provides that legal protection.
No, it doesn't. It's
no fucking way.
That makes bosses feel a bit more comfortable.
Maybe that. Yeah. But I think it's also a thing that people do to make themselves feel important. Like I'm a person with opinions, and these opinions are dangerous.
Maybe it's a little bit like every now and then. I don't know if it happens anymore. There'll be like a Facebook thing of, if you post this image, I don't consent to Facebook surveilling my account for advertising purposes. Copy paste, and then that'll go around. And all the people.
Yeah.
Like, I feel it's a little, or like when people put no copyright intended in the bottom of YouTube videos when they sing a song.
Yeah.
I think it's just a bit of a meme at this point. That
I do with the opinion zone thing though. It's just like, it's so like, think about it. Do you really think that fucking matters? Like,
and also I think the sad thing about what that kind of signals to me is, Mastodon is now maybe well known enough that, like, if you say something really stupid on Mastodon,
I think it's just a habit for these people who do it. I think it's just a habit. But what that habit, I think it says something really sad about how these people view their lives. Like, their life is almost the property of their corporation, even when they're tweeting on their own personal Twitter account. That's horrible. Looking at yourself that way.
Yeah, but it is a little bit like, if you do say something stupid, like, especially if you're like a person of note, that they can say on the news or something like that, this person said something really stupid in the same way they do about Twitter or something like that. Like no one says so and so said on obscure social media site Flippity Flop that, like, no one takes like Flippity Flop. Like, Mastodon is taken seriously enough that it can be used as a weapon to beat you with.
I think that's new. What did I see?
That is new. That feels new. Yeah.
I saw some article somewhere, and I don't think it was about a Fedi topic in particular. It was a political thing or something, and they quoted a Mastodon post rather than a Twitter post. And I think that's the first time I'd kind of seen that in the wild in that kind of context. And I'm like, yeah, Mastodon's things are changing, and I'm not sure I like it.
The thing is, though, I do see, the Fediverse is this, like, it's this living, breathing, growing, pulsing creature, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if it's as bad as we think it's going to be, there will be the hipster bit that defederates. And, like, I'm sure if I go to certain instances that have maybe different policies or philosophies or all that kind of stuff, I think you're still going to be able to preserve the spirit or the feeling or the vibe,
or even it will become ruined. It will become a corporate post-apocalyptic capitalistic nightmarescape, and then somebody will go, okay, so look, we'll take the lessons and we'll make the next one. We'll make the next federated.
This is Sisyphus is bolder.
Yeah. But no, the sadness just comes from it was my little sanctuary away from the shitty internet, and now the shitty internet has arrived.
Right. Gemini it is then.
A little bit sad, yeah.
I think, to be fair, I was thinking about this the other day. Gemini to me feels actually like a social network.
It does, but no, you're absolutely right that it does, but so did the early web. You had web rings, literally, friends or interest groups who had web, and you click on next, and you see another website about what did we care about in the early 2000s?
I don't know,
skateboarding and Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And that had that social feeling, and that's what the social networks capitalized on. They packaged that up, they packaged that feeling up, and Gemini very much does have that feeling. And I think
there's a little bit of social media natural selection going on here a little bit, right? And I think that the Fediverse is almost bulletproof in this survival of the fittest kind of thing, because the Fediverse doesn't need to be relevant or popular to survive. It can just survive.
Yeah,
in a similar way to how
free software in general, right? If one person's using it, it's alive. But no, I think what you said earlier about Gemini being resistant to capitalism, because how would you do an advert on Gemini? I think the lesson there, and I think this is a lesson that Fediverse could learn something from, is, and I say this kindly, the way to be resistant to that kind of stuff is to be shit. You know what I mean? Be a thing that most people won't want to use. Do you know what I mean? I don't say shit to insult it. I say shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a little bit and I'm going to open up a can of worms, so I'm sorry about this, but we are a few hours in, so maybe people won't be listening at this point, right? and I content warning coming up. I'm talking about the slur software GIMP, the new image manipulation program, right? I don't like that word. I wish they would change the name of it to something that was just a little bit more sensible.
At the time when I'm stating the obvious. At the time when they chose that word, they weren't intending to be insulting.
No, they weren't.
Matter, but go on. Sorry.
And they're probably not intending to be insulting now.
No,
right? But one argument in favor of naming your software something like that is that it's not going to get bought out by automatics.
I do. Yeah. No, that's interesting.
That name kind of resists corporate takeover.
I do feel that if you run a project like that and you've named it something that it seemed innocuous at the time, but somebody's pointed out that that's actually a bit offensive, or that it's a bit, even if it doesn't cause real world offense, even if it can be construed as having these relations, whatever. I think you should always just go, yep, fair enough. You know more about this than me. I'll change the name. That's the way to go with stuff like that, right? But
generally,
I do miss, and this was a feature of early kind of hacker culture in general, not just free software, but I do miss the punky kind of rebellious sticking two fingers up at authority. I think you can do that without being that kind of offensive. I mean, we want to offend capitalists and fascists. We don't want to offend.
I don't defend any people who that word would offend, albeit the type that are in rubber suits or the pejorative type that I don't, I don't. Those aren't people I, care to offend.
Yeah, there are people for whom that word.
There are some edgy things I like as well, so I'm not being too precious about it. But it's just but yeah. So I don't know. I feel like that's a bit of a double-edged sword in that way, right?
Yeah.
That brand is worthless to a corporation, but at the same time, it's also hurtful to other people. I leave those two things to maybe be equal, to be both true. I guess.
But I mean, the point is, you can have one without the other, right? You can make yourself worthless to corporations without offending people that you hopefully don't want to offend.
Yeah. So make things that are hostile to profiteering, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And I think Gemini does kind of do that, and I think that I do
think it's important. I think it's interesting to say it does it by being shitty. Maybe we should make things a bit shittier.
Well, maybe, yeah, like right, this podcast. Well, to be fair, the PeerTube people actually get they actually get the shittier version of this podcast because I put it on 480p on PeerTube, but I do put it at the top, or not 480, 480, 640 by 480 because we do this three.
Yeah.
But no,
I love this. Did you notice somebody commented on the last one and said, "Please keep the 4.3." I was like, "Yeah, cool."
For sure, yeah. Like it's all right. I like it. It's good. Actually, interestingly enough, the guy who crosses Wales in a straight line did all his videos in 4.3.
I don't know whether it might be nostalgia. I don't think it is. I just think there's something.
It's more practical.
Something nice about
squares.
I like a square.
It's a much like it looks better on more devices as well. I mean, I think Square's quite good. I think Square is an underrated.
I mean, 4.3 isn't quite Square, but it's square-ish, right?
But it approaches Square, right? So you've got the like. It's,
but I do. Like, I'm not anti 16:9. You know, you watch a big wide movie and it's cool. You know, it's a spectacle. It's cool. It's, you know, you've got this stuff over here and this stuff over here, and you know, it's a sumptuous experience. But then when I watch an old TV show that's 4.3, it feels like my brain can take a break a little bit. It's like, it's just this. I don't have to worry about this anymore. It's just this. How nice.
That'd be interesting, actually. The does the difference in like the artificial light actually make, I don't know.
What do you mean? Sorry, the artificial light.
So like there's like, I would say there's like less artificial light. You're
the
bars away.
Yeah. I think it's a bit like when when 60 FPS movies came out in the cinema and everybody hated it, and it turns out, like psychologists say, at least, I trust these people, it's just overloading your brain's trying to do a ton of work. Like the blurry fuzziness of like 24 FPS actually, what's the word for not detailed, like kind of blurry?
Low resolution,
vagueness,
right?
The vagueness of it allows your brain to do less work. Like when you've got a crisp frame, 60 crisp frames every second, your brain is trying to interpret every single one rather than going, "Oh, that's motion. It's a blur."
Like, well, actually, interestingly
along
enough,
those lines.
There's a wonderful video on the internet by H Bomber Guy, who I think we talked about this last week. Is the reason toots are called toots?
Yeah.
He did a great video. I got to remember what it's called now, right? But it's about basically the merits of VHS and
because it's funny.
I'm going to try and find kind of, sort of, and he uses some examples. I think he puts like what you might imagine as the best possible argument in favor of VHS. I think is it the power of VHS? He's done a few videos on VHS. That's kind of interesting, actually. But there's one in particular. Also, the value of director's cuts is actually kind of interesting as well. But he famously did Fallout 3 is garbage and here's why, or something to that effect. This is okay. Anyway, basically, he does a video. I think it's the power of VHS. It's a half-hour half-hour video, YouTube video about why. The merits of it, right? So it's not necessarily saying why it's the best medium and everyone should do VHS and all that kind of stuff, but it's like this is kind of what it brought to the table and all that kind of stuff. Why here are the good bits about it. And there were things like, I think he uses the original Aliens movie where in a clear and crisp digital version of it, you can see in the dark a lot more, right? You've got the range. There's of light a lot more.
Yeah.
Whereas with VHS and the graininess of VHS, there's mystery.
Yeah.
So that's the.
I can absolutely see that argument. When I'm watching something and I'm engaged in it, the quality really doesn't matter. I've been watching an old TV show with a friend, and their internet is incredibly shit. So we're getting the shittiest versions that we can find, which is hour-long episodes at 100 megabytes. So they're pretty compressed. It's a bit of a smear. You can't really see faces and stuff. But like and you notice it for the first 5 seconds, and then you get wrapped up in the narrative, like we are with we're weird monkeys, we love stories, and as soon as you're into this, I don't care. I mean, most of my TV watching back in the day was like a 15-inch portable TV and a 14-inch portable TV in my bedroom with a terrible signal in rural Staffordshire. It's fuzzy. It was, you enjoy the thing. It doesn't matter.
I watch everything on a ThinkPad. Like
yeah.
But I'm totally with you on that one. It's all you need, right? Like if the story's not compelling, why on earth would you watch anything if you're not compelled by the story?
And I do think, like the 4:3 ratio. My mum always used to say, like, watching black and white films is more like relaxing because your brain's doing less work. I don't know how, psychologically, whether that's true or not. But I do remember, growing up when I did, color was obviously a thing. A black and white movie would come on TV, you'd be like, oh, black and white movie. And then you get into it, and like your brain forgets that it's black and white, like very quickly.
And it's interesting actually. I know that people use black and white filters on their phones to try and reduce.
It doesn't quite look the same, especially black and white film. It doesn't capture lighting quite.
I did a story on a independent movie that was being made in my coverage area, and it was set in modern day, and it was in black and white, and it was very clearly they filmed in color and they put black and white on.
Yeah.
Now I don't know enough about color to like know why that was. Sometimes it might be, well, they didn't set up the shot for black and white, so there's not contrast where there needs to be contrast. There's not. There's a whole bunch of like cinema rules that you do when you're filming black and white that don't necessarily apply to color. But also, it didn't look right. It looked like we can't afford a.
I mean, the only sort of natural way to get one, maybe not the only way, but the way black and white was captured was black and white film, right? And black and white film, I mean, it just uses different chemicals to color film. It capture it. I mean, this is again going beyond my understanding, but like. It is just a different process. So if you because when you take color and turn it into black and white, you're basically just throwing everything away apart from luminance, which is not how black and white works, right? So it looks noticeably different. I'm sure you could apply some like clever filters to make it look, virtually the same as what black and white used to look like. And, I've got nothing against that, but it does have a different quality and a less nice quality.
Yeah.
That was a bit babbly.
But yeah, no, spot on. And no one pointed it out. Like someone pointed it out about 3 years ago for me, and I can't unsee it. Before then, I just took it. It's black and white.
Right? Yeah.
And then someone pointed it out who was a photographer, and then I can't unsee it. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know what it is that ticks you off, but it's like you start asking yourself, when you see any black and white thing, was this shot in color?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting actually because you ever watch Clerks?
Yeah.
But that was shot in black and white. And it was literally shot in black and white
on film as well
because that was that's all they can afford, right?
Yeah.
Or it's all they had, or something to that effect.
Yeah. There's also black and with analog photography. This applies to color as well, but different films had different characteristics. If you use two different films, take the exact same photograph, it would look slightly different because of the way. And I'm not just talking about like the speed of the film, but like just a film from Agfa would look different from a Fuji film or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we use in the office. Used to use. Now we're using iPhone cameras because they're really fucking good.
Yeah.
We used to use Panasonic, and everyone in the office, a long time ago, long before I worked there, everyone agreed we're going to use one brand of camera because that way we all can help each other if there's a problem. We can share lenses. And we all are on the same page with a lot of the technical bits and pieces, so we can share the knowledge. It makes office life easier, and that's generally, in my experience, what happens in an office is everyone agrees.
Yeah,
these are the tools we're going to use. Not always. There are kinds of options, but especially when it comes to brands. Like everyone in my office uses Apple. Because some time ago, someone had to make the call, or some group of people had to make the call, and it's stuck ever since, right?
Yeah.
So we use Panasonic, but even though there are some parts of it of the Panasonic camera, like the cameras themselves, they're quite robust, they're quite hardy. You look at what people are taking with Canon cameras, and actually, I don't know, the color kind of like quite nice. You can get there with some time in Darktable, but Canon seem to be quite a lot better at doing the color there and then on the fly. And if you take several photos a day, or you're doing a lot, then what the camera can do matters a lot more than if you're just taking like.
I assume that's just an issue of default settings, then, right? Because they're all just using CCDs now that presumably do virtually identical things. So it must just be. But you can obviously process that in various different ways. So yeah, their default setup might just different, I guess.
But it's remarkable now. Like I like showing up with a camera because people know you're there to take photographs. Like as a prop, it's very, very useful.
Yeah.
But iPhone cameras now are more than good enough to take photographs for almost any occasion that's not artistic.
Yeah.
And there was one I saw on my iPhone. You can do, I think it's 1.5 or something, like 0.5 lens, where it basically folds back on itself.
Yeah.
You've got this ultra wide lens, which actually really kind of useful.
Yeah.
I don't use it that often because when I take photos for press, you want accuracy. Like accuracy is important. You're not trying to you're not trying to be too artistic. You're trying to be
documentary.
Trying to be like, this is documentative. Yeah. So I don't use it that often, but like if you've got to take a picture in a small room of like, I don't know, like a WI meeting or something like that, and you've got to you're in a small room and you got to, you can't move, then sometimes things like that, like the ultra wide, it's just great.
Yeah. And they do clever stuff as well, the phone cameras now, because they're very tiny lenses and all that. Like they do, I know they do. I don't know the specifics, but I know they do some very clever stuff to make images look better.
They have basically, there's a lot, and also the sound recorder does that as well. I used Handy H1 sound recorder. Used to use it for like recording various meetings and interviews and stuff like that, and that was very much like it recorded as it is. I did actually run it through a compressor in Audacity usually, just to make it sure I recorded it true, and then I adjusted to personal use. And but now when it comes to noise cancelling and all that kind of stuff, the Apple tools are really good. Just on the phone recorder, on the sound recorder and stuff like that. It picks it. You don't notice things like echo in the room, right? Because like a lot of meetings I cover, they're in like echoey council rooms and stuff like that. The actual reverb actually is kind of really difficult. Like it's really a problem when it comes to having to record council meetings and things like that. So, like the Apple stuff it's amazing. It's almost like it was made to do the job, and it's the noise cancelling and of things like fans in the summer. Like because like you can't really ask people to turn off fans in the middle of a heat wave and stuff like that just so you get a clear recording of them, and all that kind of stuff. It's great, and I reckon a lot of that is like it's software noise cancelling and stuff like that. So I mean they're expensive, and actually one of the reasons why I tend to, at least in my personal life, advocate away from Apple is because the reason I got into Linux in the first place, I couldn't even afford a Microsoft license. I got handed down an old laptop for university, and I don't even think the version of Windows on it was supported or anything like that. So it was like, all right, this is my opportunity to learn Linux. I thought I wanted to do it for a while, and I had to because it was my only computer. It had Fedora Core 6, maybe I think was the first one. And it was good, and I loved it to bits. It was a rough road to ride, and I think if it wasn't my only computer, I think there might have been times when I bailed. But I had to see it through, and that included things like running old games on Wine back before Wine had hit 2.0. Like I remember like version 1.6 of Wine, 1.8 of Wine. They were rough times.
Yeah, and people coming to Linux now and like using Proton and stuff, like it wasn't like that back in the day. The amount of effort you would put into like maybe getting 1 in 15 games just about running.
That's and 2 of those games were Morrowind and Deus Ex.
Yeah.
So I got I got lucky. And any change in hardware and any change, like, there were times I did not want to update my operating system because I'm like, what if Wine fucks me on this?
We should have a little look at Kids Today section. Kids Today don't understand because kids today they don't know. Back in the day, it was the first time I installed Linux, Debian whatever 2 or something. Like, you had to manually put in all the like technical capabilities of your monitor, like horizontal.
If you got it wrong, it blew up.
If you got it wrong, you could destroy your monitor. It was scary stuff.
I've had that. I've been on the receiving end of that Kids Today speech. Like,
but it was. It's come on.
I suppose that. But so, like, to me, Macs were always a little bit of even if I could afford like a second-hand one or a refurbished one, I did kind of feel like that's a world I'm not invited to. That's a party I'm not invited to.
No, for sure. Yeah,
even if I've got a second-hand one, what happens if it goes wrong? The support might not be that. These are machines that are designed to be done the way that Mac users.
They're computers for the upper middle class.
Kind of, yeah. Like, that's the thing, and and I even felt a degree, like in general proprietary software world, I felt a little bit like that because license for Windows, what's that, £100? And at the time, like that was a lot of money for me. But then also, how much is Photoshop costing these days?
Oh God, yeah.
How much is?
See, I think the road that most people went down, the road that I went down at that point was just pirated Windows, pirated Photoshop. I pirated that. And, then got jobs doing those things and eventually ended up paying for them, which, I wish companies would learn from. But, it's the fact that you took a moral stance and didn't pirate and learn Linux.
Oh, I don't know if it's moral stance. I often felt that they were just going to come one day. The perfect DRM was going to come along and then it would all go away.
Right? Yeah.
It was precarious and transient. So that part of it. And again, I felt like it was a world I just wasn't invited to.
Do you know what? I think that transient, is that the right word? Yeah, transience. I think that was a big part of why because I've been running Linux since like 1999, but it became I switched to Linux full time much later, and I think that precarity was a big part of it. They're having to, I think it was Windows XP would every now and then uncrack itself. And it was a bit. It was partly like, oh, this is becoming a chore, and partly like, at some point they're going to nail this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they might have they done now, or certainly
so. Yeah, because it's so online, isn't it? It's basically online DRM at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Wow, when your operating system is online DRM. Actually,
like, I'm so glad that I moved to Linux. I don't want to evangelize really, but I'm so glad that I'm on Linux now. When I see Windows, on my niece's laptop or whatever, and like, again, trite to say it, but adverts in the start menu, like, seriously, people live with that? It's mad.
Kids these days.
Kids today.
No, and the idea of having an operating system that expects you to be online regularly, if not all the time, I don't want that.
No.
Like, just as a function, right? Like, that's just I want my operating system to be like, and also I know people now who have asked me to install Linux onto their machines because of this.
Yeah.
Not many. Like, it's not like a wave or anything like that. Like, it's a few people here and there that see the problem. And I've put Linux Mint on. That tends to be my go-to for people like that. They want something that they just no adverts in the start menu. That's why they're coming to Linux.
I think one of the things that amazes people, though, and it is kind of amazing, is when you do an update on Linux, that updates your operating system and all your software. At least what's installed from the repos. That's kind of mad. Like, we forget how mad that is compared to Windows and Mac. Yeah.
It's it's nice, and it runs. It runs well as well. There's I do feel like you do get more bang out of your buck. I've got ThinkPads that I'm running that are X220s. They're like, what are they, 15 years old or something like that?
Yeah.
And they start faster than a modern Mac that was 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's. Yeah, and a lot of it, actually, when I run personally, is Debian stable. I do sometimes toy with the idea of a Debian testing or Debian unstable, but to be honest,
I mean, what's the point?
I can do if you can do
I
can do everything I need. There is not one single solitary thing that I cannot do on Debian Stable. Like anything I would want would probably be something online. Well, that would be. I can't even think.
If you encounter a piece of software that the libraries are too old or something, there's other way you can flat pack it. You can, there are ways around that now. That
Debian plus Flatpak is everything I could ever possibly need. I've got itch.io for some games. I've got Steam for games. So even so games is taken care of with Steam, and I think Steam have been great for Linux. To be honest,
you've always got to be wary, but for sure.
Yeah,
the fact that they obviously, I think the biggest thing is the fact that they worked on open source projects rather than doing their own thing. I mean, they benefit from that, of course, but they've done it. Unlike Google, they've been a good open source citizen, I think.
Very good. Yeah, I literally. Like I could not expect better behavior from them in reality.
Yeah.
Maybe some people might come back at me with some like DRM type stuff that's kind of valid, I guess. But like for the most part, and similar with itch.io as well.
Yeah.
You actually with itch.io, I think are better insofar that you don't need the itch client. You can literally just download the binaries.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's a clunk, but.
Reminds me of a small thing that's a slight tangent. I wanted to mess around with some like visual programming the other day, and I remembered Love 2D. I don't know if you know Love 2D is a thing, which is it's a very 2D game engine, but it's very codey. There's no idea or anything. It's Lua with like a graphics library, basically.
Okay. Any good?
Yeah, so it's really cool. But been messing with it for years. Never really done much in it. But in like searching for it and googling for it and that, I found. A game on it. Do you remember the game Stronghold?
No.
It's kind of RTS where you run a castle. It's castle management / RTS. I was always more interested in building a cool castle than the RTS side of it. But you build a cool castle. It's a game from way back. And somebody has made in Love 2D, they've made an engine re-implementation of Stronghold. With the blessing of the people who made Stronghold, and it's just up on itch.io for free. You can download the entirety of the Stronghold game remade in Love 2D, and it's kind of great. And when I say it was with the blessing of the people who made Stronghold, they still sell Stronghold on Steam. They did like a remaster kind of thing, and they still sell it on Steam. So it wasn't like it's been out of print for ages. Yeah, so they just gave them the blessing, which I think is actually that's pretty cool.
That's kind of nice. Yeah. I think the Deus Ex revision also got the blessing of the people that made it.
That's cool. It is cool when they do that.
I hope I'm right on that one. And that's how the revision mod got allowed on Steam.
Yeah,
I think it did need someone like from
because Valve always do that with their own things, don't they? Like if somebody makes a Half-Life or Portal thing, they're like, yeah, go for it. Which is that's pretty cool.
There was I think it's the Mel stories or something like that. There's like a Portal spin-off.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I got stuck at a point and then I kind of went away and never came back.
There's even that there's like a Portal but more hardcore game, and I think it's literally called Portal something. Like they've even used the name, and I think some of the branding stuff but yeah, I mean Valve have that history of when Half-Life came out, somebody made CS as a mod for Half-Life, and they rather than trying to shut them down, they hired them, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with they they can be it's a bit of confidence, I guess, in that they know their power, so they can be graceful. Yeah. It's like so someone makes a Portal 2 spin-off that is good, right? Like it's a solid thing. Where else are they going to sell it if not Steam? Valve are holding all the cards, but they do make so it's like it's so easily their call to make. They so easily could shut it down. They are they're not doing. They could I suppose credit to them for actually making the smart decision here. Yeah, it's obviously not going to hurt.
I don't get why other companies, when somebody makes a thing and it gets, I mean, Bethesda are bad for this, Nintendo are bad for this. Like somebody makes a fan thing and they shut it down. Like all that is doing is generating more interest in your thing. Really, no harm is being done to you, and Valve do seem to get that. And also, of course, if they're selling it on Steam, they're also taking 30% of all the sales, which
yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, it's not so much. I mean, it's it's a smart move more than it's a generous move, I suppose. Really, but
it's a good kind of like some of the other things we've talked about. It's the right decision for maybe the wrong reasons, but it's still the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think when these things are done, these decisions are made. Ideally, they're made as amongst several people from maybe different departments, and some people are going to be pushing this for different reasons anyway, right? So, the truth is always, a few layers down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's but fair play to them. Fair play to them. They could have. I suppose. I think with the Bethesda stuff, I think it was just money. I think there's like, oh, you're making mods. Well, we want to make mods, and we can kick you out of the marketplace. So so only our mods are for sale.
Yeah, I think Bethesda are just a dumb company. I think.
Well, they make dumb decisions. So, which is a shame because they of course made one of the greatest games of all time. But
yep. Almost, I kind of feel at this point almost by accident. I think they just happened to have some very talented people there at the time.
Well, that's companies, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like is Elon Musk's true talent being able to hire smart people, knowing a smart person when he sees them?
Maybe
being good at HR.
I don't know. Wow. I think his talent was being born into wealth, really.
Yeah, but like there are more than
We are over 3 hours. Should we?
Yeah.
Wind it.
Yeah. We should wind it. Save all our stuff. I mean, we're just yammering at this point. Wow. Yeah, it was. But okay, we're not selling any merch. We're not doing a Patreon. So I don't know. Goodbye.
You can reach me on Gopher at drew.monster.
My website, chrisware.wales, has all my bits and pieces on. This will be on PeerTube. Hello, people on PeerTube. If you're watching this on PeerTube, congratulations, you're our favourite.
Yeah, absolutely our favourite. If
you're watching this on YouTube, go fuck off to PeerTube and watch this on. Well, not like the whole thing again. That would be silly, right?
Look at, because it's not going to carry over. Just look at where you are on the little timey thing, and then kids today probably don't know how to do that because everything just like automatically picks up where they left off, right? So there is a little thing in the bottom left that tells you where you're up to in minutes and seconds on the video, and hours in this case. So just remember that and then go to that point on the other one. You might need a pen and paper.
Yeah. I've got my pen and paper. I'll actually try and write some notes as I go for the show.
Remember, send it in on a self-addressed postcard. Remember that from TV?
Yeah,
like self-addressed.
That's it. I never knew what that meant. I'm going to save that for next week.
What is a self-addressed postcard? Wouldn't that just go to you?
A self-addressed envelope.
Self-addressed envelope, yeah.
So if they were going to send something back to you, you'd put a
self-addressed envelope.
No, not self-addressed. It's a stamp-addressed envelope addressed to yourself.
Got it. Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
A stamped self-addressed envelope.
Kids.
So, like, basically, if you're going to win a
Blue Peter badge.
Blue Peter badge, yeah. No, it is. Yeah. All right, well done. Good work, team. Congratulations for making it through the podcast.
If you made it this far, let us know.
I'll tell you what, no, I've got a great if you made it, right? Does anyone remember Granny's Garden? I played that on the school BBC computer.
Some friends and I played through that fairly recently, like a year or two ago. We played through that, and it is a disturbing experience.
It is. It's a trip.
That was they made school kids play that.
That is like the UK's version of the Oregon Trail. So if you're an American, talk about the Oregon Trail because that's a good game.
To be fair, the Oregon Trail is a much better game. The Oregon Trail is actually a game, whereas Granny's Garden is kind of ahead of its time in just being a collection of mini games, really.
Okay.
Your webcam's frozen. Are you still there, Chris? We've lost. I'm frightened now. What do? I'm on my own. I'm not used to this. Chris is a big famous YouTuber. I don't know how to talk to people. I'll Might stop the recording. We just have a very unusual ending. We've lost Chris. He may have died. Wales may have been taken out in a nuclear incident. Unclear at this point. Check the news, I guess. Is this him or is it me? Okay, my internet seems to still be working, so this is Chris. So we'll give him a moment to come back. Or maybe it is my internet. It's my internet. Well, my internet's died for some reason, so goodbye, everybody. If you made it to the end, do whatever Chris said. Have a lovely time.